Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another day, another week, another episode of 30 NSG. On today's show, we're going to be talking about Diablo 4, finally, the phenomenal action RPG that people have been waiting for. We're going to be talking about we talked about a story yesterday about Wayfinders. Yesterday, Asmongold was on his stream, and the developer of Wayfinder, the director, I think, talked to him on his show. So we're going to listen to Asmongold interviewing him and seeing what the deal is about Wayfinder, why they did what they did, and what are they going to do about it. And then we're also going to watch the Assassin's Creed Shadows trailer. I have not yet seen it. I know it came out yesterday. I wanted to wait till today to watch it with you guys on stream so you get my first opinions on it. And then we'll cover a couple of stories that I know that are going around that people are talking about Assassin's Creed as well. And then we have an article from SkillUp, from his Patreon. It says, do game developers still want to publish games on Xbox? And it's a nice little article that I heard him talk about in his last video. So we're going to go over to that article and read that. This is what we're going to do on today's show. If you guys like what I do here, I just read news stories with you live on chat, with chat. And then I give you my opinions based on the article itself, not from outside sources, not from other people telling me, well, this is what I think's happening. We read it for the first time on stream. I give you my opinion about it. If you like what I do here, please make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And if you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. What's going on, chat? Let me see who's here. What's going on, Roadkill? What's going on, Sorcerers? Dog Gaming, what's going on? Chris, Travis, Bumblepants, Robert Jones, Chris, M. Gene, what's going on? Good morning. Lurker, Dolphin, Water Bear, El Dente, Kylo. Good morning, good morning. Am I missing somebody? I think I have a Big Mo, what's going on? Somebody else said hi. Oh, it's Jeannie. It's Jeannie. Welcome, 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 welcome. I'm also going to try to stay back away from the microphone. I ordered a little a pop filter for it that'll come sometime next week. So what's going on, X Factor? So let's start off. Actually, let's start off with SkillUp's article. Okay, let's start off with SkillUp's article over here. Okay, so on his channel, on his Patreon channel for SkillUp, you can get it. It's free. You can go to this and listen to, and listen to what he's it's free. You can join his Patreon, but he also has stuff on the Patreon for free. This is from 3 days ago. Okay. It says, do game developers still want to publish on Xbox? He says, once upon a time, Xbox consoles were leading the charge, and they had first-party games. They also cultured event in themselves. The online multiplayer community was unparalleled, and the Xbox Live Arcade pioneered digital distribution, giving platform to groundbreaking titles from small independent studios. That's not quite the case anymore. Okay. Existing exclusive games are few and far between. Other platforms have caught up to the online front, and the Xbox console still sees dozens of new independent game publishers next week. The ID, or ID, Xbox Independent Developer Program, is no longer seems to be the must destination for developers it once was. From the outside, bits and pieces of the news have raised questions like a planned multi-platform release dropping Xbox support, a tandem with Xbox declining console hardware sales, and what Microsoft's new focus is on both Xbox console and Windows PC, which now expands into beginnings of multi-platform publishing strategy. Okay. It says Xbox direction is undergoing a clear change, and as much as the company tries to divert our attention to new controller skins or odd marketing partnerships, it's difficult to ignore that the feeling of the console's X factor, at which might push some to jump into the ecosystem, no longer exists. That much feels obvious from the outside, aside from the value proposition from Xbox Game Pass. What advantages do you get for owning an Xbox console over the rival platform? What advantages do you get from owning an Xbox console if you have Windows PC? And if you're a game developer, why would you work to bring your game to Xbox, especially if you already have a PC release? It says, we're curious to see whether or not these are the same quandaries existed on the other side of the coin, leading to our survey a dozen game developers to get their perspective on the current state of the Xbox and how viable they saw it was potential platform that it work to live. Okay. It says, we spoke to individual game makers from around the world, and all of whom are the publisher games and Xbox consoles in recent years, and they had new titles in development. They ranged from solo developers to mid-sized independent studios, though all requested an autonomy in order to speak more freely on the subject. And this is a running thing, right? Because obviously they don't want to This is why we can't ever get developers talking about anything that have worked in the industry until they leave the industry. Because a lot of people that work in the industry, they don't want to say anything because obviously they'll get blackballed, right? It'll be harder for them to work in the industry if they come out and speak about what's happening in the industry, right? So they all want to be anonymous, which is fine. Okay. It says the news of Microsoft closures of Arcane Studios, Tango Gameworks, and Alpha Dog Studios. The overall takeaway was this. Though the perceived value of porting games to Xbox consoles differs, depending on the size of the studio and type of games the developer was making, one thing was clear. Developers are seeing very few people buy their games on Xbox consoles, that largely blamed because of the behavioral shift that Xbox Game Pass has caused. And it's created a vicious cycle. This goes across the board, right? We can see what's happening right now, almost in real time, with Square Enix, with Final Fantasy, right? Final Fantasy came out, and it was timed exclusive, before it came out to PC and whatnot, to PlayStation. PlayStation people are also not buying games, right? So it's a culture thing. I don't think it's an Xbox thing. I think it's a culture thing that's happening now where less people want to buy games or own games because they know that they can just wait a couple of weeks, couple of months, it'll go on sale, or it'll be on some streaming service at some point, if it's PlayStation Plus, if it's on PC, if it's a discounted price. And smart consumers, right? Because you don't want to pay full price for a lot of these things, but at the same time, it's doing the exact same thing that happens to the movie theaters. Movies come out, you're like, I'm not going to go to the theater, it's too expensive, I'll just wait 17 days or 30 days, it'll be on a streaming service, right? So that's what's happening right now. It says, our Xbox sales have been the weakest without a doubt, said the developer, as much as celebrated award-winning title, which is also ported to Xbox more than 2 years ago. After the initial releasing on other platforms, with the exception of Game Pass revenue, the games have sold less than 5% compared to other titles. Which makes sense, right? Why would you pay for something if you can get it on Game Pass? That's just that's smart business sense, right? I shouldn't say business sense. That's smart consumer. Okay, you're like, why would I spend $70 when I can just pay $10 or $12 or $15 and try it out? How many of us have already talked about the Star Wars Outlaw game? Why would I spend $70 or $130 when I can just spend $18 on Ubisoft Plus? Okay, same thing now with Assassin's Creed Shadows, I believe. Okay, it says it was a universal experience with all the developers we spoke to sharing similar breakdowns of alluding to the similar statistics. Okay, Xbox sales always came in last, and overwhelming front runners of sales in cases were PC and Nintendo Switch. Okay, so there you go. It takes exactly my point. People are not buying games on Xbox, and people are not buying games on PlayStation, but yet PC and Nintendo Switch, Nintendo blows the doors off of any other company, okay? All their first-party titles that are exclusive to Nintendo, they sell 25, 30, 40, 50, 60 million copies for their first-party titles. It's not just like one game here or there. Like, the lowest Nintendo game sales at 30 million copies for their first-party title is like their worst game that they're selling, right? Meanwhile, Mario Kart's sold 64, 65 million copies for that. It says, quote, you just aren't going to sell the same units as you would elsewhere, said one developer, who led a studio responsible for multiple titles that also achieved commercial and critical success. He says, quote, it's a bit like trying to sell a DVD to someone that uses Netflix. Sure, people still do it from time to time, but you're going to target the right audience. And this is what we're saying when Starfield came out. Me and Sarge are like, why would people buy Starfield when you can play Starfield for $10 or $12? Okay. It says the next natural question is, if Xbox console sales almost always track last for developers we spoke to, was it even worth the time, money, and effort to bring them over? He says the response varied, depending on the type of games developers were working on. For small teams working on less technical demanding games, relatively speaking, porting wasn't typically a big blocker. He says, quote, the difficulty of making games for Xbox is low on the list of reasons why anyone should consider the platform. He said reason one developer who had shipped both 2D and 3D titles, especially in the world where Switch and Steam Deck is going to be your optimized target. For others, seamlessly, those behind games with more complex 3D designs, multiplayer components, and also online infrastructure, the issue was far bigger. Quote, if you need to spend US $20,000 out of pocket to port it to get to a platform, you have to hope to make more than that to just break even, if that's not even factoring in time. Another developer framed the task as port this way. When we shipped on Xbox, There were 5 different hardware profiles to consider for Xbox One, Xbox One X, Xbox One Series X, Xbox Series S, and Windows PC. I don't think it's healthy for small indie game developers to do a juggling act for porting to 5 different platforms when doing multi-platform porting if something a AAA studio will invest millions of dollars into doing. You must really consider what you're doing a job in which usually has an entire division allocated to it, right? So again, for smaller companies, it's not feasible to go to 5 different platforms, let alone then do the Switch, then do the PlayStation, then do the PC, right? There's a lot of stuff in there. It says, as we know, even as well-resourced studios, it kind of worked and can be taxing. The Xbox Series S is commonly believed to be a pain point when it comes to porting a game to Xbox platform. Requiring significant tinkering to run smoothly on a less powerful console, even Larian Studios was delayed in getting Baldur's Gate 3 to Xbox release out the door, seems to be because of this issue. Now, something that's surprising in the discussion concerning efforts versus value, however, was that some developers flagged the same concerns with PlayStation. After all, though it's constantly ranked above Xbox in finding sales and players for games, it still trails significantly behind PC and Switch. So here you go. If you are an Xbox fanboy and you're a PlayStation fanboy, see, these developers look at you the exact same. It's not selling well on these 2 consoles. It sells very well on Switch, and it sells very well on PC. Okay? It says, it makes a little sense these days to ship on all platforms, said one developer. It's better to just move to them afterwards when you get some incentive to do so. Those incentives are key. A few of the developers we spoke to said that in the past they had been recipients of funds specifically allocated to assist in porting projects, but programs like this had all but dried up. Now all eyes were squarely focused on Xbox Game Pass deals, which were also not as lucrative as they were just a few years ago, but still enough to consider putting the work in for it. Now, we had an article we talked about 7-8 months ago that we talked about on this channel about independent developers, the people that were publishing Tunic, okay? They said it was very lucrative for them early on in the Game Pass cycle, okay? As time passes, more developers are going out there. It's going to be harder and harder for independent developers to get their games seen, because if you've ever had this experience where you go to like Netflix or any kind of other streaming service and you're trying to find a movie to watch, or you're trying to find a game to play on Game Pass or PlayStation Plus, there's just rows and rows and rows, and you get lost into this thing. You're just like, I just want to watch something. I just want to play something. They said early on, Tunic was very successful. One, because I think they made a game, sold a game, and it was low production because it's one guy that created it, but it was very lucrative for them to make that. Same with like Cuphead and stuff like that. But now as 100 more games come out or thousands of more games come out and they all try to get on Game Pass, you got to try to sift through what's good and what's bad, right? It says one developer who had received funding numerous times from Microsoft through Game Pass and games with gold deals said, it's not integral to this decision, but it's a massive help. It means that we can get less stress over whether or not we make our money back, because they're also giving these guys the money up front, right? We saw the FTC documents talking about how they were going to pay Baldur's Gate 3 like $50 million. They were going to pay like Rocksteady for Suicide Squad $250 million, right? So you saw a lot of these things where they were going to give money up front to them, which at that point, they made their money off of Xbox. They don't care what they sell then, because they made a majority of their money back. Now the rest of the platforms, PC, Switch, PlayStation, they're going to make the remainder of the money on that. But that's a big, huge chunk of stress off their shoulders, right? Another developer had also benefited from multiple Game Pass deals, echoed the sentiment. As an indie, you have to weigh up every tiny expenditure against the potential impact of your vision. But knowing your minimum gains a year from the launch of advanced makes that's a lot less stressful, which I just said, right? Get that money up front. It's less stressful for them, where they can make up the rest of the money through the other platforms. It says a mid-sized developer was eager to cause other developers. However, if you don't have a big game and they know how much money you currently earn on the platform, they can really give you a lowball offer saying, well, it's 18 to 24 months of your current revenue up front, okay? But beyond development funding and financial compensation, the common sentiment as is simply having your game as part of Xbox Game Pass subscription service was the best incentive to bring your game to Xbox at all, because the better potential audience, okay? Just seeing it out there. And this I would assume drives while All right, can you guys hear me? Let's see here. Major blip. I'm trying to fix the camera here. I stopped talking because I saw it happen. So you didn't miss anything. All right. All right. So we started off. What was I saying? Let's see. Xbox platform, which was said. Nope, that's not what we said. It's really not worth the shipping the Xbox unless the game and Game Pass deal because it's where the majority of the players seem to be, said one developer for a small studio. So it's a big, huge deal for them to get that game to seen by most people for like those microtransactions a lot of these companies have. If it's a season pass, battle pass, just one skin to put in as an extra thing, a bonus or something like that, right? It says Xbox platform, which we won't say no to if the price is right, but there's also expectations that will only consider this platform if Game Pass is on the table, said another. If you ship Xbox without Game Pass, you miss out on a majority of the player base who are only playing Game Pass from playing your game, said one solo developer. I think it like the when multiplayer games get DLC maps and split the user base, right? You got to think about this as well, right? There's how many people that are having an Xbox that's out in the market right now, right? I think there's like, what, 26 million, right? 26 million Xboxes out there. Well, there's 35 million or 34 million, at least the last time we checked, Game Pass. That means basically everyone that owns an Xbox potentially has Game Pass. Obviously not, because some might not have it, and then people that have no Xbox have Game Pass. So obviously, if you're making a game and it's not on Game Pass, you're not hitting all the potential buyers, or I should say, gamers out there, because not everyone's buying. Like for instance, Minecraft Dungeon. I don't own Minecraft Dungeon, but I own all the DLC for Minecraft Dungeon. Right? I never bought Minecraft Dungeons, but yet I own all the DLC for Minecraft Dungeon at $5 a pop. Okay. So there's also therein lies one of the biggest effects of Xbox's big subscription service push, creating the averse to actually buying games on Xbox, which leads to less return for developers, which discourages them from being on the platform. Some developers also point out that the deals regarding the PlayStation Plus catalog for free essential games having a similar effect. If you can't get one of these deals and you don't have the resources for your team to scale to do all the platforms, I can understand prioritizing other platforms, said mid-sized developer. That's what I would do. He says, quote, I feel like consoles in general are just becoming less relevant to indies, said one studio. If you have a mega hit, then no matter what you do, you're set. But if you're very worried about being able to recoup your even the $50,000 on a console with small title, especially with porting costs. He says, today is all about the Steam and Nintendo Switch. They're all despite a common sentiment. And when you actually came to administrative side of publishing games, Xbox was by far the easiest platform to deal with, thanks to the independent Xbox program. He says, historically, I've said Microsoft were more difficult to work with for publishing, with a rough start to self-publishing in Xbox One era. But they've made a huge improvements over the last decade, said one developer. Generally, I think there's a pretty healthy place now, and there's tools in the process of requests, said another. But short of uprooting Xbox Game Pass, how can the platform improve for developers who don't have the advantage for AAA publishers behind them? Proposed solutions were varied, but it also came down to one thing. Better discoverability, incentives for people to play outside of Game Pass. And again, that's a big thing. How do you get yourself seen when you have to try to scroll through all the AAA, now quadruple A games that will be out in the future, AAA games, AA games, and then these independent games are there. You see the big games that they paid hundreds of $1 millions for on the front page. You're not really seeing those independent games unless you go look for them, and that's what you like to play, okay? So it's a lot harder unless you have those breakout games like Cuphead or Tunic or Hades, stuff like that, right? So even without Game Pass, they're still talking about reaching millions of players who've already invested into game devices and are actively looking for games to play. Reason one developer, I feel discovery and methods of reaching your audience feel stronger on Switch and Steam as they do focus points on their themed events. That's exactly what I was just saying, right? So this developer pointed out the experience of stumbling across the game on Steam you may have never heard of and discovering the hundreds of thousands of players in reviews. These are games that have never had a platform to deal with Valve, and they just found their audience anyway. It feels like that doesn't really happen much on Xbox, and I think it would benefit the platform if they think this is about why that is. So they talked about this. Xbox said they're putting more into the id Xbox type stuff. I think there's a whole section for independent games that they're going to be doing. I think they're going to implement that later this year, if I'm not mistaken. I thought we read an article about 2 months ago. He says another developer reminisces about the days of Xbox 360 and the conditions of the frosted indie boom in the mid-2000s. He says, I really miss these days. Xbox Live Arcade, where there are also 5-game showcase, and if you bought 4 of them, you get the 5th free. They really made it like there was an event. In the grand scheme of things, however, for some of these small to mid-sized developers, many of whom are achieved consistent success to date, they declined viability in publishing games on Xbox and PlayStation were just a small part of the greater problems looming in the gaming making and publishing space. The bigger issue is that everyone is playing the evergreen games like Call of Duty, Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, etc. Each one is soaking up a small percentage of players who never venture further out, said one developer. We've talked about this as well. We only have 24 hours in the day, right? If you're playing Destiny, right, you're locked focus in on Destiny. If you're playing World of Warcraft, you're locked in on World of Warcraft, right? There's these games that happen that people keep playing, and this is why they're going for that evergreen. This is why companies are going for live service games. This is why Rocksteady made Suicide Squad. This is why Crystal Dynamics made Marvel's Avengers, because they're trying to make you focus in, because if you're playing that game, then there's a potential. Not only did you give them the $60, $70, $100, $125 to buy the game early access or whatnot, but there's that small percentage that you might buy a $5 skin. There's that small percentage that you might buy the season pass. And this is what all these companies are looking for. Okay. So how does an independent company compete with that? They can't. Okay. This is what that stat about a month and a half ago, where they found out that 60%, or no, I'm sorry, it was more than that, right? Was it 70% were people playing just 6 games? 6 games, which is exactly what they just said. Minecraft, Roblox, Call of Duty, Fortnite, and everybody else is paying 7-year-old games, okay, or more, which is crazy. So others were more hopeful and optimistic, said another. As long as there's players to reach and deals to offer benefits, I try not to worry about it too much, but that's what's looming over the horizon. And ultimately, exemplified by some of the 2024's biggest hits, the seamlessly came from nowhere. It's often those untroubled and unaffected attitudes that foster in some great ideas for unique games that also keep the medium so exciting. Even when you think it can't get any better, maybe even able to play some of these games on console one day, maybe. So, words by Edmund Tran, quotes have been lightly edited and clarified perspective autonomy. So there you go. So this is the deal that's happening. So it's not just a Microsoft thing and Game Pass thing, right? Developers, at least from this article, they're looking more towards PC and they're looking more towards the Switch, because that's the indie development team. Now, obviously, if you go to AAA and stuff like that, it's a completely different thing. But from this article, from these developers that we're talking, they're all kind of scared about what it is, and they need to get those deals from PlayStation to put on PlayStation Plus, or they need those deals for Game Pass, right? And again, if there's 30 million people out there with an Xbox and 25 million of them have Game Pass, you would be dumb not to put your game on Game Pass, right? So they try to get those deals, and if they can't get those deals, then it's kind of like a moot point. Why am I going to put it on Xbox anyway? If they don't give us a deal, then I'm not going to do it. But these are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments section down below. Please make sure you share, like, and subscribe. What do you think about this? Do you think this is a massive problem in the indie space, in the games going forward? What do you think could be done? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you like what I do here, please make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe. And if you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, chat. Let me see what you're saying. Risky, thank you very much for the membership. Appreciate that. Thank you very much for the support. Yeah, I don't know what happened to my my computer in the mid of that. So we'll edit that out once it goes to a breakout video. That's to be with Forza and Starfield on the DLC, but not the game itself. Yeah. And if they ever remove that, Kylo, right? If they ever remove that, then you're like, oh man, I got to buy the game, right? And they get you on additional money afterwards. Travis says, I've been here long enough that people know that I'm not a bot, but I don't say stupid shit like that. I love microtransactions. The irony in that statement. In what statement, Krebsy? It's probably something that someone set up above. I always have, and maybe you bought to put your hand in your little purse. Dolphin says, people forget that Xbox and companies get a shit ton of money on top of Game Pass through DLCs and microtransactions. Oh, absolutely, Dolphin. Let's see. Interesting. Thinking this stuff will be hyperdrive as they dive into TikTok playing on its own to push pre-orders on Xbox. PL says, stores, microtransactions, season passes, DLCs, expansions, soon ads. Talking about money-hungry games without all this crap, doing it to be my game someday. And that's exactly what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to put ads in the stuff. EA is looking to put ads in their games even more. D-Money, what's going on? So what's up? So upset about AC Shadows. Finally, great setting. And they're going to ruin it with the half-baked 1 to 2 year dev cycle and keep hyping them. Stop it. We're going to talk about Assassin's Creed in a second. We'll talk about Assassin's Creed in a second. Let's see here. I don't mind micros on online games. I like having the option there if there's any many characters look cool, like in Siege. Quintar, thank you very much for the 10 gifted memberships. Thanks for becoming a member. Thank you very much, Quintar, for the continued support, man. Appreciate the generosity. Thanks for becoming a member. Let's see. AC is fast food to open world games. D-Money says, no, you're talking to someone. Danny says, Helldivers, you can actually earn everything during gameplay. Microtransactions is an option available to you. Sure, but you literally named one game that it's like, that's the outlier, not the standard, right? The standard in the gaming industry is that you can't earn the things in microtransactions and you have to purchase them. Thanks for becoming a member. PL says, indie games can survive without big companies' money, in my opinion. Indies with good vision and well-budgeted can do and look at the Animal Well, fantastic little game. Yeah, but PL, you understand, though, that this is why they're going towards Switch and this is why they're going towards PC, because they can get more viewership there. On Xbox and PlayStation, they get lost within the rows and rows of games that they've paid millions and billions of dollars for. You know what I mean? Or I should say millions and hundreds of millions of dollars to put. Dog Gaming says, Game Pass is good as it gives us a chance to play games that we wouldn't even have played, helps developers get their games out there. Sure. And if they make those deals with Xbox and PlayStation Plus to get their game on there, they've already made that money up front, so they don't really have to worry about that side. They already made their money from the developer. Or I should say from the publisher. Come on, Hilly. Wintar, Jason, morning. I like some stuff that Diablo 4 is only available for purchase. You can't earn it. Right. Oh, Risky, you gifted a membership earlier. Is that what it was? It was a gifted membership? No, it was you joined. Then why does it say down here? Well, that's weird. Oh, I see. You redid it and then you upped it. Not upped it, but announced member for 16 months. Thank you very much for the 16-month support. I thought you were. I was like, wait a minute. Why does it just say 1 month? Spider-Man 2 is a AAA game with any microtransactions. You can look however you want. Well, there's no microtransactions, but they sell DLCs in those games, right? So that's fine. They're making more money from the thing. Not all games have. I mean, Gotham Knights didn't have any microtransactions. You can earn all the cosmetics inside there. Thanks for becoming a member. I butcher everyone's name, Dolphin. It's a rite of passage. Hilly, thank you very much for the 5 months. Appreciate that. Don't worry, $80 gloves will save the industry. That's right. Come on, Kirk. Yeah, Sea of Stars was a shock how good the game was. I never played the game. It wasn't on Game Pass. Yeah, I think that's an interesting article. And again, that's on SkillUp's Patreon. You don't have to pay. He's got articles on there on his site, so you can look at. But at the same time, if you want to support SkillUp, you can go to his channel. You can become a subscriber, become a member, and then also do his Patreon if you want. Oh, that reminds me. I gotta put his. Let me put his thing up there. I didn't add it to the description. Let me add it. All the stuff that we talk about, all the sites and everything that we do, is over on. Is on the description down below. Give me 1 second. Thanks for becoming a member. Kylo, thank you very much for the 12 months. Appreciate that. Man, has it been a year already? Yeah, time does fly. Time does fly. All right. You guys want to talk about Assassin's Creed next, or do you guys want to talk about Diablo 4 next? Ron says Assassin's Creed. Travis says AC. EL says AC. Now, I haven't watched the trailer, so we're going to watch the trailer. And then I have another video that's 14 minutes long from Assassin's Creed from IGN. They had a little interview or whatever. Did my camera get messed up during the... Hold on 1 second. I got to open up the... Because it looks like I'm blurry and stuff now, which I don't know why. There we go. Yeah, the color went out, everything went out. The whole computer like had a hemorrhage and like just stopped. It just paused. It was like Xbox called it in. They're like, all right, so let's start with... Oh, we have the Wayfinder interview as well. We have that to talk about. All right, let's watch the Assassin's Creed trailer. Again, I haven't seen it, so this is my first time watching it. All right. This will probably get nicked afterwards, probably.
Who are you? Who do you serve?
Morning, Alien.
All I have ever known in my life, our land, our customs, my family, burns in the name of unification.
What's going on, Mr. Luke?
You are still a frog in a well who knows nothing of the sea. The ocean's filled with new ships, but they all come from the same river. Greed.
Yeah, I know, PL. We're going to watch that as well. I literally said that before we watched this one.
Vengeance.
And you? Will you continue down that river? Or choose another path beyond what we see?
And we must look for it together. We must learn to trust, rebuild.
And follow the blade.
I said, who do you serve?
We are the shadows.
That serve the light.
Okay. So we saw nothing of the game. We saw nothing of the game. I thought they were going to do some sort of, trailer / inside gameplay type of thing. Like, not like a dev thing, but something of the game. Okay. The trailer, obviously, it looks good. It's CGI. It's like a movie. I would rather watch it as a movie than, looks good. Okay. Now, I do know the stuff that's going on with people complaining that the Black Samurai, people are upset. And in my Discord, I did say, I saw Twitter last night before I went to bed, and in Discord I commented to Mo, right? Because Mo said that the man is a samurai, so F them, right? And I said, from what I'm reading and understanding, is that people are upset in the fact that all the AC games, the protagonist has been from the region the game takes place. He said, I understand, and I don't know how to say, is it Yasuki, is that how you say his name, is real, and he was in Japan at the time. But with the timing of all this SBI and DEI stuff, this just seems like the more fuel for the chamber for them. He says, out of all the time periods that the samurai to pick from, there were more famous samurais. Okay, so I don't understand why they chose this. Now, obviously, you can say what you want. I personally don't care either way. If it's, at the end of the day, it comes back down to it's a video game. So all the Assassin's Creeds ahead of time were about people going back into their ancestral time with DNA and going back into the Animus, if I'm correct. I played Assassins 1, 2, Brotherhood. I played, I think, like 4 or 5 of them. I played Unity and Black Flag, right? I didn't play the other ones. And I enjoyed them. And I think I was just tired of playing Assassin's Creed. I said it last night that Assassin's Creed to me is almost like playing Destiny for like 6-7 years in a row. You kind of get bored and burnt out from it. So even though Assassin's Creed's a different game every single time or different time period, it just kind of get old for me. I haven't played the new ones. I haven't played Origins. I haven't played Odyssey. I haven't played Valhalla. I didn't play Mirage. So I haven't touched it since they redid the newer versions of them. This looks cool. Now, my question is to you, if I didn't play Ghost of Tsushima, right, should I play Ghost of Tsushima or should I play Assassin's Creed? I think I know the answer. I think I'm going to stick with Ghost of Tsushima. Okay. It looks interesting. I'm not sold by it. Okay. But I kind of want to look. Let's look at the prices. Okay, let's look at the prices of Assassin's Creed. Oh, it's 70, 109, and oh wait, I'm sorry. This is Star Wars Outlaws. Oh, let me go to Assassin's Creed here. Okay, so the Assassin's Creed game standard edition is $70. The gold edition is $109. The ultimate edition is $130. And the Ultimate Edition on day one with Ubisoft Plus is $17.99. Do you see? Do you see the difference? This one's blue, and this one is red. Okay. See, now personally, I don't have a problem with the protagonists in the game or what they're doing with the actual thing. What I have a problem with is a $130 video game. That's what I have a problem with. Okay? Right? Like this is what I have a problem with. And look, it looks like you're getting more bang for your buck for $130 in Star Wars Outlaws than you are for $130 inside of Assassin's Creed. Okay? Okay. So let's see what happens with this thing. You got a season pass. And with the Assassin's Creed Season Pass includes a bonus quest on day one with an additional unlockable content as well as 2 upcoming expansions. So again, they put one mission. They put a bonus quest behind the day one with additional unlockable content as well as the upcoming expansions. Okay, and then you got the 3-day early access as well. Play 3-day early access before the official launch date. Well, actually, the official launch date would be the day that this comes out, but they wanted to charge extra money for it. $40, by the way. $40, just like Outlaws. Okay. And obviously, they're pushing you towards the $18 because, again, we just read articles and stuff about how they're trying to get people to Game Pass or PlayStation Plus. And Ubisoft Plus wants you to lock you into the ecosystem of what it is, right? Again, they don't want you to purchase the game. The game is going to be a digital game, right? I'm sure you can get a physical copy, but they're going to make it digital because they want to push you in towards the ecosystem of that. And again, they price it perfectly because you look at 70, you're like, oh, 70, but then if I get the 3-day early access, I pay additional $40, I get the season pass, and I get the 3-day early access, so I'm up to 109. But if I go to 109, I can get the ultimate pack. You know what? It's getting a little too pricey for me now because $130 gets me the ultimate pack down here. I think I might just go with the $18 and try it out. And if I don't like it, okay, if I don't like it, then I can just cancel. Obviously, every single game that comes out for Ubisoft Plus, this is the new standard. This is the new system that they're going to try. They're trying to get you in under the $18. And if you're a person that likes Star Wars, they got you in at the $18. If you're a person that likes Assassin's Creed, they got you in for $18. If you're a person that likes the car games or whatever else they come out with, that's what they're going to try to get you to do. So, you know, it is what it is. Again, I don't have a problem with the fantasy game taking characters and liberties of like history or whatnot. Again, I don't think in the history of this, I don't think it was I don't think you had an animus that you had to go back into time with your DNA and whatnot. I understand the people that are upset. Now, if you're upset because it's a black dude, just because it's a black dude, well, then I think you have other problems there. But if you're upset because it's not a protagonist that every other Assassin's Creed game had within their region, I can understand why you're upset about that. But they had the girl. She's from Japan. She's a playable character. So one of the protagonists is from Japan. So we'll see what happens there with all the drama that happens behind that. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat down below. Let's see here. Make that 90, 130, and probably 160 here in Canada. $130 live service game. Yeah, Ubisoft should choose an existing male Japanese historical figure rather than a black man. I mean, they could have used the person. Again, I'm not going to pretend I know my history of Japanese samurais, right? The 5 seconds I did to look up who he was, he's a real person, but he was also a assistant to one of the greatest samurais of all time back in the 16th century, right? Because it was like 1582 to 1587 or whatever. You know, I can't pretend to stand here and say I don't know why they did what they did. You would have to play the game and figure out if the story is good or not. If it fits the story, then cool. But again, I'm not going to go deep into that part because I honestly don't care. I haven't played an Assassin's Creed game in quite almost a decade, I think. Let's see. Doesn't mention he was a samurai dummy. Yes, he was a real, but not a samurai. There's a couple of stories, Jason, that I looked up. There's some stories that say he was a samurai, and there's other stories that say he wasn't a samurai. Again, I mean, their bookkeeping back then wasn't the best, so I don't know what's right or wrong, and, you know. $240 for Ubisoft this year. Who's with me? Or $36, Titan. You could pay $240, or you could pay $36. Ubisoft is going to start the new $130 trend. Yeah, they said, forget your $70 game. We're going to double that. We're going to double that almost. Mirage was a joke for me, combat-wise. I'm done with Assassin's Creeds. Everyone, I enjoyed the new ones, not me. So this is a thing. It's a multiple season pass. Like 4 seasons, or just 1. It says 2. In the season pass, it says Assassin's Creed Shadows Season Pass includes a bonus quest on day 1 with additional unlockable content as well as 2 upcoming expansions. So the season pass is only 2 expansions. I don't know why they call it a season pass. They should just call it 2 DLCs. They should just call it 2 DLCs. Ron Slusher says, I hope we get the tip, Ubisoft, when the game is complete. Yeah, when you complete it. Rebsy says, so wait, till the Assassin's Creed game comes out and sub to Ubisoft Plus and play both Outlaws and AC at the same month. Sure, there'll be people that do that. Absolutely. Every few months, they'll put a $130 game, so you just stay on Ubisoft Plus. Right. Well, think about it. Doesn't Outlaws come out in August? So you have August, September, October, and then November, right? And we talked about way in the past, Dolphin, that Game Pass wants you on there for 3 months. Minimum 3 months. That's a win for them if they can keep you on there for 3 months. Right? So Ubisoft Plus, I would think, would be around the same. So if you come in for Outlaws and you kind of like play that game, you stick around with other games on Ubisoft Plus, play the older Assassin's Creeds, and then all of a sudden the new Assassin's Creed comes out, then they got you for another month. People are blindsided by the diversity politics and completely missing the actual problem. The scummy pricing, absolutely insane. Not me. Not me. Hence why I brought it up. I don't have a problem with what characters they put in video games. I have a problem with the $130 price tag they're trying to put on a video game. Required online to install. You both play offline after it's installed. Yeah, just sign up, Gaming Fire. Don't worry about it. Just sign up, but you don't have phones, right? That's what it sounds like. When AC Valhalla was $130 for Ultimate 3 years ago. Does that make it right, Kenneth? See, I can say I don't like it because I also didn't play Assassin's Creed Valhalla due to the same factor of $130. Will you be able to get the $17.99 and still play Outlaws, or will you pay at $17.99 and get Outlaws at a lower price? I don't know if they do that. I don't have Ubisoft Plus. I don't know if you're like Game Pass gives you a discount. I think it's like 20-25% off or whatever if you have Game Pass. I don't know if Ubisoft Plus does the same thing, Z. If it was a white samurai, everyone would be fine. with that and the Black Samurai in a game. No, I think they would call it the Tom Cruise, right? I think they would call it the Tom Cruise. They would say it's the Last Samurai game. I think that's what they would do, Machiavelli. Again, I'm not complaining about the protagonist. I'm complaining about the monetization and the practices of the company. It seems like everyone has a black problem. Well, I've seen black people complaining about this. So I don't know what you want to say about that then, Nate. Anyone with the issue, can't believe I'm saying this, but for once, I'm actually play the dumbest racist card. Again, you guys can say it, but there's a lot of people that have a problem with this. Again, I don't personally care about it. I have a problem with the monetization and the business model of this. Connor McDonald says, I mean, the game looks fun. I'm still going to play it. Are you gonna pay the $70? Are you going to pay the $109? Are you going to pay the $130? Are you going to get the Ubisoft Plus, Connor? We only play games that are historically accurate now. Might as well stop gaming. Yeah, again, I you know me, Paul. I don't care about the accuracy. As long as the game is fun to play and I have a good time with it. I mean, they're making Assassin's Creed games loosely based on history. You know what I mean? It's not like a documentary of history. I think people were expecting Tom Cruise to be in the game as the Last Samurai. Right, Ron. Both games to come out, and you have 2 games for $15 for 1 month trial. It's $18. $18, yeah. At this point, an upcharge for games on release is a problem. It's a convenience price. If you buy a few months later, you'll get the normal price, and that's the problem. Right, D-Money? If you literally wait, like right now, if I go look, actually, let me go look. Let's go see how much Avatar, what's it called? Frontiers of Pandora? Yeah, right now, in the Ubisoft store, you can get Avatar Frontiers for $41.99. Okay? On sale. Right? So you're getting it for $30 less than it was just 5 months ago. Right? Skull and Bones. Right? Skull and Bones. Let's see here. Skull and Bones right now on sale on the Ubisoft store is $29.99, which they told you was the first quadruple A game, and you must pay the big price tag on it, and that's only 3 months ago. Akuta Papa says, the fact that we were just setting the time is enough for me. Japanese people I talked to say was a samurai, but he couldn't own land. Samurai lords compared to the West. Travis says, 30, weird thing is Odyssey had only 2 discs, but they were also 3 episodes each for a total of 6 DLCs. Quintar says, technically, they raised the Ultimate Edition $30, but waiting for the sale on this one. Kurt says they're pulling 2 FOMO strings. God, my chat just skipped. Oh, there it is. 2 FOMO strings. I'm trying to catch up, chat. Connor says, I agree. $130 is steep for a game, let alone $75 for the base game. Still a bit much for me. Machiavelli says, soon after the first meeting, granted him his Japanese name, accepted him into the service, and made him the first record foreigner to receive the title of samurai. Yeah, I've read that as well. And then other ones, there's undocumented things saying that he was never documented. So again, I'm not going to pretend to know the history because of Wiki, right? People can change shit all the time. So I'm not gonna throw my hat into the ring of if he is or isn't a samurai. You guys can argue about that. I'll argue about Luke Skywalker and Anakin Skywalker in the fantasy world of Star Wars. Most of their games are on sale a month later anyway. Why buy and subscribe to Ubisoft Plus? Right, Anthony? Remember when you paid $100 for a game and got something physical and worth buying it? Sarge, on tonight's show, I'm going to have him hold up the Baldur's Gate 3 box, and with everything in that box for $80. For $80. Salty says, I read that SBI is involved, though. I could be misinformed. I haven't heard that, Salty, so I don't know. I'm sure it'll come out if it was. The reason people are complaining is because the guy was not a real samurai, not because he's black. Who gives a shit if he's black, white, yellow, purple? Mike, there's black people with black problems. It's a snowflake problem. Kurt says, looks like it could be a fun game. Yeah, I mean, all Assassin's Creed could be a fun game. Again, you know me, Kurt. You've been here long enough to know that I don't complain about the game if it's fun or not. That's subjective to the person that's playing the game. I have a problem with broken, buggy, unfinished games, and I have a problem with the business models and the corporations that try to do what they do, right? I don't prefer subscriptions, so I'm just going to get the base game at $75. No way I'm paying $130. Now, Connor, I have a question, and I'm behind, so I'm reading your thing now. My question is, do you have a backlog of games? Right? Do you have a backlog of games, and do you need to pay $75 to get that game right now, or are you buying it and then it sits on the back shelf until you catch up to it? And if so, why buy it at $75 and not wait? Now, obviously, you might not have a backlog. Mr. Luke says the shitty $130 for a non-live service single-player game that had no need to play it early. Don't get it. Waterbearer says, if I don't know history of all I see is a black man as a samurai is much deeper than that. I was a slave, saw more in it, and became a personal guard first. How about another Assassin's Creed game, but set in Southeast Asia, Philippines, during the Spanish colonial era? Avatar's like $45, and Prince, it just got on sale for $30. Almost the whole entire industry by itself. They capitalize on it. Oh, for sure, PL. I will argue about the 117. Patrick Q says, I'm sorry, Anakin. We cannot grant you the rank of samurai. Yeah, I'll just wait for Patrick. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait till I'm going to get it for PC, and then I'm going to wait till someone mods in Anakin Skywalker for the Assassin's Creed game. I mean, that's a win-win then. That's a win-win. Nate Allen says Baldur's Gate 3 was trash. And wasn't worth $80. Nate, it doesn't matter if you think the game is trash. My whole point of the box, that was $80, and what you got in that box was the entire point of it, right? Not that, again, you liking a game or not liking a game is subjective, so it doesn't really matter if you like or hate a game. I'm talking about the value of what came in the box of Baldur's Gate 3. But you can move the goalpost all you want. I paid $200 for the next Destiny expansion day one, but not even $40 for the next Ubisoft photocopy. Sarge says, I have a question. When do I get to say the AC series is samey? Anytime, Sarge. You can say it anytime. Okay, Connor says, my backlog isn't extensive as I used to be, and I've been working through it this year. I have a couple more games to get through. By the time it releases, I'll be only thing I'm playing. Okay, there you go. So you'll catch up. You'll catch up to your backlog will be done. Sorcerer says, I'm going to wait to see if people playing it early access before I commit to anything. I don't see the point of paying any more for cosmetic stuff. You'll be able to put in for 10 minutes, and skill points you'll earn. Well, here's the thing, right? We just had an article before we talked about this as people that are playing on PlayStation and people that are playing on Xbox don't really like to buy games anymore, right? You've already been conditioned to, why do I want to buy a game when I can get it on Game Pass? Why would I get a game if I can get it on Ubisoft Plus or EA Play and stuff like that, right? Patrick Q says, Baldur's Gate 3 is trash. Amazing take. Yeah, amazing take. Smoke, that's what Sarge is saying, that because that's what everyone says, right? People say if they hate a game, they're like, well, I don't like it because it's samey. And Sarge is making a point of, when can he say that Assassin's Creed is samey? All games are samey, and that's what he's saying. I know you're new in the channel, and you don't understand Sarge's sarcasm, especially since it's in a text, but you'll see his sarcasm if you come for the podcast and whatnot. The goalposts shall be bent and moved 75 yards further each and every time. Replay down. First down, NFL schedule released yesterday, by the way. Oh, did they? Did they release it? I don't care. I haven't cared about NFL football in quite some time. Oh, you want me to move the goalpost? All right, I'll move the goalpost. Okay, move the goalpost. Biggest upset was for me when they when you bought Battlefield and it flopped. Yeah, Battlefield, that's a completely different story, Danny. Battlefield came out, Battlefield 2042, or as we like to call it, 2076. That's a broken, buggy game. They literally put 8 maps out and then took 18 months to fix those 8 maps instead of making a game and selling a game. One of my big things in this channel is I always talk about make a game, sell a game, right? Make a game, sell a game. And in that first part, make a game, whatever game it is, right? If you're a developer and you have big passions about making whatever game it is, I don't care if it's Hi-Fi Rush, I don't care if it's Redfall, I don't care if it's Starfield, I don't care if it's God of War, whatever game you're making, if it's an independent game or AAA game, make a game. Put all your blood, sweat, and tears into that game so when it comes out, it's not a buggy, broken mess, okay? Just make the game. If you make a game, that game will sell because people can notice it and go, wow, this is a really good game. Whatever that is, okay? Make a game, sell a game. Make a movie, sell a movie. Make a book, sell a book. But they don't like to make games anymore. They like to put out half-ass baked games, and they fix it over time. Doesn't matter if it's like stability. Doesn't matter if it's the game mechanics. If they nerf or buff it, right? People paid 100. What was the highest price for Diablo last year? Was it 100, 120, right? They paid $120, and yet they fixed it over the last 10 months to come to Season 4. Waterbear says, everything is samey these days. No originality anymore. Why? Because devs and producers are scared as hell for new IPs. So they do remakes and remasters to be safe. Right, Water? We've talked about that. Why did they get rid of Hi-Fi Rush, right? It's proven that it's not going to make money. Why do they keep making Doom? Why do they keep making Gears of War? Why do they keep making Halo? Why do they keep making God of War? Why do they keep making Horizon? Because they're proven factors that they make money. And they would rather throw money into a game that they know that can make money back than a new IP that might not make money. There's also... You know why there's 10 Fast and Furious movies? Because 9 of them made money. Bert says, make a good hamburger and people will buy them. I say games are getting less sales these days due to quality of games available these days. If people didn't like buying games, industry revenue would drop. I think a lot of people, I don't think it's as simple as that, though. It's less sales these days, not because of the quality. I think it's less sales because there's more games. More games, more things to distract you from time. So you might not pay $70 for a game. Less people pay for $70 for that game. Final Fantasy is a perfect example, right? 3 million people bought it, where majority of people used to be 15 million people used to buy it. Oh, quantity. My bad. Still stand by what I said, right? There's more games out there. Less people are buying the games. People are still buying games, just less people are buying that one game. They're buying other games. We're spread out. Roadkill says, man, people talking about less sales, but they talk about it a month after the game came out. Like, they get the game breathe a little bit. Well, the problem with that, Road, is that they don't let the game breathe, right? They put it on sale right away. Remember when Grand Theft Auto first came out? It didn't go on sale. It didn't go on sale. They kept it at that same price. This year, Helldivers, Palworld were the big hits. New IP, both to be honest. Well, it's not a new IP. Helldivers has been out for quite some time, Water. Remember, there's Helldivers 1. PL says, 30, I know you are not even wanting to say the words Destiny 2, but at least you're going to watch YouTube video about how it ends. I'll be honest. I honestly don't care. I haven't been watching anything about Destiny 2. And I really don't care about the story. Maybe down the line I'll watch it. I honestly have no... I honestly don't care. Some okay news in general. See. Following some questions we've noticed in the community, Assassin's Creed titles will not require mandatory connection at all times. An online connection will be needed to install the game. Yeah, Gaming Fire said it earlier. People like to think they know when a game is good, such as Hi-Fi Rush, but how many people bought it? You need to buy in order to promote the games you like. Right, ISG, but at the same time, when the company that made the game put it out on a service that doesn't need to buy it, that's the problem, right? How do you buy a game that you can't buy? Why would you buy a game that you can't buy, right? I bought it because I thought it was a good game. I played it first on Game Pass and went, this is a good game, and then I bought it. Most people will be like, yeah, I'll try it out. But I agree with you. People complain, well, man, they closed the studio down. But yet, less than 4 million people bought or played that game. So from our standpoint, it's a good game. From their standpoint, it didn't make money, which means not a good game. Palworld may be a new IP, but really riding off the back of the biggest IP in the world. Let's be honest. True, Paul. Dolphin says, cries holding Destiny Tower. Danny says, I'm a sucker for Modern Warfare store items. And here's the thing about why I don't like microtransactions, Danny, right? Again, people can spend their money how they want to spend their money. But just know if you, and I'm not saying you specifically, Danny, right? But if you like, for instance, Call of Duty, you want to pay $80 to get the monkey glove, the King Kong monkey glove, just know when you do that, you're not helping the gaming industry in any way, shape, or form, because the studio looks at that and says, why do we have to spend 3 to 5 years making a game when we can spend 2 weeks designing a monkey glove and to sell for $80, which is the price of a video game? You know what I mean? The reason there's no Elder Scrolls 6 right now is because ESO is there and people are buying microtransactions and different things and a monthly thing. The reason there hasn't been a Grand Theft Auto 6 this long is because the online version is making it billions of dollars for them. So you could like the microtransactions that you buy and spend your money how you want, but you also can't later down the road be like, man, they're not making good games anymore. Can I get a picture of this Destiny Tower? Gotta see it. Sure. Yeah, we could show you the Destiny Tower. Was it a pre-order bonus, right? No, it wasn't. It's a Destiny 2 tower, right? Not a pre-order bonus, but yeah, here it is. There it is, Sarge. I'll try to make it a little bit bigger for you. So these guys here are about the size of like meeples, you know, in like a board game, like in a board game. And then there's a tower. It has little lights on it. It has little things, and each of the meeples, you can put them on the thing, and it unlocks certain things. Argus says the reason they aren't making good games anymore. I don't want to say they're not making good games. There are good games out there, right? But I'll continue reading. Obviously, there's less good games. There's still good games, right? Making good games anymore is because they don't need to that make money, right? And the fact that what they're filing now saves them. Yeah, filing now also saves them money and makes them much more of it, right? If I take 1,000, if I take 200 people. It takes me 5 years to make a video game, and we charge $80. Or if I take 2 people, it takes them 5 weeks to make a couple of skins at $80. Why would I make a better game when I can make just really cool cosmetics for people to buy in the game? I'm pissed we still haven't gotten the next gen version of Red Dead Redemption 2 yet. Papa says, Water Bear wearing the armor, plus 100 strength, plus 100 magic, plus 10,000 armor, requires binding soul to armor, all your hate. Well, the response to the comment earlier about don't complain about there's not being good games in the future. Well, right. Animal Well is an indie game from a YouTube studio. Fantastic game. I saw the game. I can't play. I personally can't play games like that. My brain can't look at old school. I know it's like new school, but like those pixelated games, I can't do it personally. So I will never buy that game. I will never play that game. I hope it's a great game, and I hope it does well. All right, let's move on from the Assassin's Creed that to the other video from IGN. Okay, let's go to the other video from IGN, which is a little bit more lengthy one.
That served the light.
It's time to fire up the Animus, because later this year, Ubisoft is taking us back in time to 1579 as part of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Finally, after years of fan requests, the series is headed to Japan during the era of samurai, shinobi, and shogun. To learn more, IGN was invited to an exclusive tour of Ubisoft's Quebec studio, where the Developers revealed their vision and ambition for this new-gen only open-world game. And now, we get to take you inside Assassin's Creed Shadows and tell you all about its setting, its two playable protagonists, and the dynamic world they live in, where every season promises to change the way you play.
As always, for Assassin's Creed game, we try to pick a setting that is a pivotal moment in history, a period that can allow plenty also of gameplay opportunity, and that was the case with
Speaking of gameplay, can you show us some?
the 16th century. So it's a period where it's a pivotal moment because it's a period of transition between the strife of the Sengoku period, which is characterized by decades of continuous civil warfare, and the period of Dao was the return of the shogunate and the return of peace in Japan. So, for example, it would be the last time that samurai will fight major battle.
I did the same thing, Danny. I got I went in with two other people. We bought the Save the World edition when it came out in 2017, right? And I got free. I would log in, you would do missions and stuff, and and then I would spend that money that I got, but I didn't spend extra money on the. So that I understand. Like in Fallout 76, I would do all the things to get the atoms, to then use those atoms to spend in the atom shop.
And last time also that they will have a strictly military role.
For the first time since 2015,
That's the last time I played. That's the last time I played one. This was the shittiest one that I played.
in Syndicate, this year's Assassin's Creed
Was it Syndicate or was it Unity? I always forget. I get confused. You know what? I'll go look at it later.
will feature two playable protagonists. Tapping into the culture of 16th century Japan, Shadows leads represent two very different warrior traditions: the strong, noble samurai and the swift, agile shinobi.
In Assassin's Creed Shadows,
Did Syndicate come after Unity? Or did Unity come after Syndicate?
we really try to focus on having our two playstyles on two different characters with two different storylines.
We do have Nawe as the
After Unity. Okay.
imagined daughter of a real
So then it was like 2014, 2013, 2014. Yeah, that's the last Assassin's Creed I played.
historical figure, Fujibayashi Nagato, who is her dad and who teaches her shinobi skills. She is a shinobi and she fights like the daughter of somebody who knows exactly what he's doing. Also in the values, and to exemplify that family's values of valor, benevolence, and wisdom.
And to add to that, fighting beautiful woman is a recurrent figure in Japanese literary creations. The sun goddess Amaterasu, she can turn into a ferocious fighter. And also, the tale of the Heike features Tomoe, who is a female warrior. And then she is described as a beautiful woman who is as strong as 1,000 male samurai. Naoe, is kind of following the footsteps of her.
Starring opposite Naue is the samurai warrior Yasuke. He's an important first
Yasuke. There you go. Now I know how to say it.
for Assassin's Creed. Yasuke is the first time the series has ever featured a real historical person as a playable character. Naturally, the team sought out a fascinating figure for this role, the legendary Black Samurai.
As an outsider, first of all, as devs on the
See, and that I think is what people have a problem with, right? Like, up until this point, the protagonists that you're using have never been actual real people, right? They've taken place during periods of time, and you're interacting with people that are like Michelangelo and stuff like that in other games, but you've never had a protagonist that was an actual real person.
team, many of us are not Japanese, so the opportunity to come to the setting and explore the
I appreciate
setting
Danny.
as Yasuke was a really awesome opportunity because a lot of players will approach the setting this way as well.
You are still a frog in a well who knows nothing of the sea.
He was likely born in Mozambique, likely stolen as a child by the Portuguese, brought to Japan later in 1579 in their service. Also, Yasuke
I think what they need to say, though, Paul, is they should say it's a real character during that time period, but it's loosely based on him, is what they should say. Just to cover their ass.
Is somebody who is going to tie together many of the most powerful figures in our era. So he really is a great point of entry to this as well, with Oda Nobunaga on one side, the daimyo that he serves as a samurai, and on the other side, the Portuguese that he arrives with. He really does a lovely job of connecting the dots historically, what we know factually, and then narratively, we had so much fun imagining the kind of person who would have this trajectory.
Yasuke has been featured in many creative writings and media so far. There's like a long list of novels, TV series, dramas that have been inspired by him. Yeah, I think people in Japan are really embracing him as a character, and we really like to, see him representing the samurai spirit.
Together, Yasuke and Naoe offer the two sides of Assassin's Creed's classic toolset, stealth and combat. Your approach to each quest will be entirely dependent on your choice of hero.
Yeah, so your experience will be very different.
I guess, Chris, they didn't want to be compared to Ghost of Tsushima, but you could tell stories, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could have two things in the same culture without being the same.
Like if you enter a castle with Naoe, for sure you will take the path that lead you to your objective in the stealth way. But Yasuke you will enter by the front door and make your way through, so it's really different. But also in the more neutral zone, like just going into the city, a samurai was perceived like the high social class. So if you're with Yasuke with all your armor, like people looking at you, like you're noticeable compared to Naoe that blend in the
Right, Jason, you just had Rise of Ronin.
The crowd. The thing that shined the most, I feel, in the Assassin's Creed, it's really the hidden blade, the assassination, being able to stay hidden. So that's the core that we want to keep. What we needed to push forward, it's to feel a bit more modern in the approach. Enemy perception is really impacted by everything around the world. Light and shadow has a big impact, so you can vanish in the shadow. So it's really intuitive how you play. You can destroy light. We worked a lot on enemy behavior to really interact with this environment, slicing
Ghost of Tsushima came out today, right? Doesn't it? It launches today.
Bushes if they think you're there.
Parkour has always been something that's pretty iconic and pretty core to the stealth experience, because they go hand in hand. And with Naoe especially, you'll have a lot of different moves that you can do in parkour, and also a dynamic grappling hook that allows her to traversal pretty fast and reach other areas. And it's all physics based, so there's a little bit of improbability sometimes when using it. There's a danger to use it, but you can also perform assassinations from it. So it's quite spectacular when you get the hang of it and start using it.
Naoe's shinobi skills make her the ideal choice for players who want to get back to the series' stealth route.
Now, I have a question. Is Assassin's Creed Shadow, was this Assassin's Creed Red? Or is Red a separate game? Like, it was codenamed Red. Was that what Shadow is?
She's agile, quiet, and utterly deadly, but also much weaker in a straight-up fight. If you're facing a situation where direct force is required, then Yasuke is the perfect pick.
You can start with Yasuke, then switch to Naoe, and then go back to Yasuke.
Okay.
That's the beauty, is like, because during a quest there are like several steps and you're going to go from one place to another. You want to have this autonomy, this player agency to choose how you want to play the setup.
Still has some of the low-level stealth things available for him, so he can hide in the bush and can crouch a little bit, but he's noisier.
Okay, we're 7 minutes into this trailer of them behind the scenes, and we still have yet to see any gameplay. Actual gameplay.
And he's not as fast, and so of course when hell breaks loose in the map and a lot of enemies are there, this is where he shines in combat. We also want the combat to feel spectacular, so quite a bit pushed on having a lot of the object destroyable or sliceable.
So it all starts.
Doesn't that seem odd? I know one of you is going to say, well, maybe they're waiting for the show for next month, potentially, but like, it releases in November. You're not showing any gameplay. If it's one thing gamers want, gameplay. I'm not asking for story beats and stuff like that. Just show me gameplay. Nothing will get you more hyped or not hyped by seeing gameplay.
Started up with that fantasy of the katana. Now we can slice through door, slice props and pretty much everything. So this is why also we've paid so much attention to the details of our weapon, because we know it's
That's it. Look, we just saw the model. That's the closest you'll see.
such a big part of a fantasy, being able to have like amazing swords in your inventory.
And the other thing, it's when we have like mini boss type of fighter, we really want it to feel like a duel. This extra
Yeah, but Titan, at that point, right, we're so close to the show. Why not just shut up and then show it to us at your show for the first time?
change of blocking, parrying, dodging. So it's always like kind of a dance with the archetypes.
We've been pushing about making sure that gameplay and art, are not separate, but they're intertwining. When it's raining, the enemies, rather than staying and then
don't buy it for me. I would rather you take the money that you would pay for this and put it towards gifted memberships in my YouTube channel. I'm being serious. I don't buy it for me because I won't have time to play it.
rain, they're going to look for places to cover themselves rather than staying there. And so that creates new routes for the player compared to before.
So we have now this new cycle of season that goes as you play the game. Each season you have something that we feel that is
slow roll hype. It's a build up. Sure.
Feel new for the player, and also the AI react to the season, change their.
Brainchild says, wasn't the female shinobi in the side scroller years ago? Would have preferred Shadows just focused on just to make DLC mission like they did back Black Flag. I don't know. I've lost touch completely with Assassin's Creed Brain, so I'm not sure.
Plays. The bigger difference is, of course, like summer and winter. So there is the whole agricultural cycle, so plants like growing and all those things. So in summer, there's a lot more things to hide inside the bushes, the agriculture if you're going there. In winter, people gather more around fire sources. Like everything that lose their leaves is not there for you to hide. The tall grass is gone too, so you need to find other type of cover, like deep snow has an impact on the perception. So if you're prone in deep snow, it has an impact.
You go into a pond in the summer, when you go in the winter, or the pond is frozen. You create new and you remove, even at the same time, ways and routes of infiltration, things that you didn't necessarily have before.
Wasn't this game only in development for 2 years?
Steps, so we could see the summer begins, summer ends. So you'll see a transition through shaders, leaf will change and stuff will change, but the big season change will be through loading or through your bike quest. In this regard, we try to stay authentic as possible to match historical events. When an open world quest, it might happen that you will play a quest in autumn and I will play the same quest and I'm going to be in summer. So that's up to the system and the way you play game. The weather system though is entirely dynamic. Could go from clear sky, cloudy, before storm, and then after rain, and then we'll get to pick what we think fits the best each provinces in terms of probability as well.
If it's heavy rain and or fog, well, you won't get the same visibility, so your footsteps are a little bit more masked as well. So players have to adapt constantly to what the environment is giving them, but it allows them to have different opportunities as well. So it's not just hindering the players.
Shadows comes from the same studio that created Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Okay, so it comes from the same studio that made Odyssey. What year did Odyssey come out? What year did Odyssey come out? Quick, I can't open up another tab. Someone check it.
And so you can expect another large...
Oh, it says right there. 2018. Okay. So 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24... 6 years, 2 years was in behind the coup. So I'd say like 4 years. 4 years.
RPG style experience. Rather than encompassing huge swathes of the country as well as surrounding ocean and islands though, Shadows will take place in a more realistically scaled area.
So we focus on the central of Japan because it's where Oda Nobunaga decided to organize his stronghold to start to unify Japan.
On a scale level, maybe we can compare, if you're familiar with the franchise, a little bit more, the size of Origin.
And I think this is the reason they make these games big, right? And the reason they make them gigantic and the content they're making for this, right? Valhalla, everyone said was so big. I remember SkillUp's reviews saying they just made it big for big's sake. I'm not saying it's a shit game or anything like that. They just make it big. My point is, the reason they're making these games gigantic and big, Same with Starfield on Game Pass. Why is there not 10 planets and why is there 1,000 planets? Is because you're going to spend more time in the game. You spend more time in the game, there's a possibility you're going to get that extra month of paying for Ubisoft Plus, right? Because we all know that that's what they want you to get. They want you to get the membership of Ubisoft Plus. Hence why they make these games bigger and bigger.
With Origins, we did want to have a much closer to real life scale ratio. So because castles took a lot of space and we really wanted the mountains to feel like mountains, so environments feel wider in the games.
When we pick each of our provinces,
Origins is in 2020. Video messed up. When's Origins?
we've tried to highlight what are the keywords for each of them, making sure that we reinforce.
I have a question. Didn't Origins come out in 2020 and then Odyssey came out in 17? God, was it that long ago?
Okay, let's
Jesus.
say Omi is the breadbasket. We should see field, agriculture, open sky.
Was it 2017?
Arima is the war field. It should feel like that. The barricade, guard passage, stuff like that. So we've did that exercise for all of our provinces, making sure that they have key elements that are unique to them as much as possible.
This setting is perfect for a couple of things. Like
2017
just
October.
At the castle, the way they were built, it's kind of a level design by itself.
Holy
it's so
Christ.
big. It's
I remember when they first came out with that. And that's when they first made it like an RPG type of thing. Holy Christ.
It's like an adventure each time you go in the castle. And for the enemies themselves, the different archetype with the armor, the helmet they wear, it's easy for us to create this vocabulary that this guy is stronger than this one.
As for what we'll actually do in this open world, Ubisoft is holding its cards close to its chest for now. But the team promises a non-linear structure that's mostly centered on hunting a number of targets. Something that sounds like a potential evolution of Assassin's Creed Mirage's refocused approach from last year.
We're approaching target gameplay in a little bit about in a classic way that we've done so, leading to a target and having them in a place that you need to infiltrate. So that's true for some of our targets, not all of our targets. Having options to be able to take them down and having some narrative and sometimes some surprises into that. And I think people will like some of the variety that we try to put in our target. But there's also low-level targets everywhere in the game that will allow players to have those emerging moments as well, part of the open world.
One thing that we really wanted at first, it's making sure the world feel alive and there is those targets always in the world. So it's possible that you encounter some of them without really knowing about them before.
But you can see that the game is objective based. So it's less of follow a quest up to a point, but it's much more, I want to do this, and then you'll find.
Chat, let me know this. As Assassin's Creed, because with the way he just described it, up to this point, hasn't it always been go where you want, open type of thing? Or does it hold your hand and put the marker on, right? Because we've always talked about this with open world games. A lot of people need their hand held, otherwise they get bored and they move on. So what they're saying about this, it seems like it's going to be more opened where it's not had that marker to push you, because he said up to a point, right? Let me rewind it for a second.
But you can see that the game is objective based, so it's less of follow
objective based
a quest up to a point, but it's much more, I want to do this, and then you'll find the way out of it.
The team also hints at something of an Assassin's Creed Brotherhood-inspired spy network, which will be built up over time and allow you to assign agents with information-gathering missions.
Now in Yasuke, they do have allies in the world, and they do help people, and sometimes they can help them find what they're looking for. And everything is centralized around them building a hideout where their friends and allies can
Since Origins?
It's an integral part of the exploration loop. You can call on those allies once in a while.
They are your eyes and ears on the field, so if you use them properly, they will help you to find what you're looking for or what you missed.
Ubisoft Quebec makes a promising case for the Assassin's Creed game we've patiently waited years for. But so far, we've seen precious little of the game in action. During our tour of the studio, we caught glimpses of a stealth infiltration and a sword fight, things we sadly can't show you here. So far, we've not been able to sit down and watch an entire quest play out, never mind go hands-on ourselves.
I think I saw some gameplay, guys. Hold on. If we look at the guy's glasses and we do enhance mode, I think we can see some gameplay.
So far, we've not been able to sit down and watch an entire quest play out, never mind go hands-on ourselves. We can only assume the big gameplay reveal then is being prepared for 2024's Ubisoft Forward, taking place on June the 10th. Fingers crossed, it'll look every bit as good as it sounds.
We know it's one occasion in our life to do an AC set in Japan. We had to practice and make the best out of it. This is why we decided to be very ambitious.
We are creating something that speaks to many people. They're moving authentic, not necessarily based on historical accuracy per se, but something that is honest and respectful, something that fans, will really resonate with.
For more from Assassin's Creed Shadows, check out our detailed breakdown.
I just don't get why they don't. I mean, I understand it. I understand why they're not showing it because like the slow build up, like you guys said. But there's just something wrong that you want to get us hyped up for your game, but you don't want to show us any kind of gameplay. Someone's gonna have a thumbnail first gameplay of Assassin's Creed Shadows, and they're gonna show the pixelated version of the guy's glasses. PSN account probably going to be required to even watch the trailer for Sony games by next year. Yeah, I don't think they could talk much without showing any gameplay. It feels weird to me to be in 2024 and companies still don't know that all they got to do is show us you can show us a 5-second gameplay footage and be like, ooh, I'm hyped. That's what I don't get. All right, so we got the IGN one out of the way. Assassin's Creed Shadows had 15 developer support studios. Jesus. Assassin's Creed Shadows, led by developer of Ubisoft Quebec, has had an impressive 15 other studios developing it over the years. As spotted as the bottom official Assassin's Creed Shadows website, it displays all the developers who worked on the game from Quebec and the main developer, but support studios include. My God. While it's unclear why Assassin's Creed Shadows needed to be so many different support studios, it's likely because Anvil Pipeline Engine, which is unified as the Assassin's Creed series as a whole, so perhaps some studios working on Hex or many other Assassin's Creed titles in development offered a helping hand in Shadows. Although the news might not be interesting to some, the number of 16 total studios is in one of the largest number of Ubisoft titles I've personally seen. For context, Skull and Bones and other Ubisoft titles had 11 different studios working on it in development, which lasted nearly a decade. Well, that doesn't make me feel better, I'll be honest with you. Okay? Skull and Bones had 11 studios working on it over a decade. Okay? Which they changed and moved and delayed that game 7 times. And this one has 16 total studios. So Skull and Bones is in a rough shape, I'll be honest with you. Okay? So for more Shadows, check out all the game additions here. Confirm the Assassin's Creed Shadows will only be released on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S, effectively making Assassin's Creed Mirage the last AC title to be released on the last generation of home consoles. So that's a lot of goddamn studios. Why do they need hundreds of people and 10 years to make one game? Well, Skull and Bones was originally a PvP game. Then it turned into like a cooperative game. Then it turned into a loosely based open world solo/co-op game. They've completely changed it multiple times. They rebooted it 4 times and delayed it 7. Alien says, I'm going to pass on this one. Wait for Hex. And then I'm also really looking forward to. Quest says, I just hate the reality of using the character for an agenda. I'm not going to... I don't know if they're using it for agenda. I don't. Maybe they are. More will come out. If they are, it will come out. You know what I mean? Ghost 2 would be a sucker punch. Oh, wait. We're the devs. If Ghost 2 trailer drops, the internet will crash. Wonder if Sweet Baby was involved. Like I said, Reese, if they are, they will get found out. You know what I mean? The infamous quadruple A game. Smoke says, absolutely. As a huge fan of AC, they're making this decision to go to Japan way too late in the series. It's almost like they saw Ghost of Tsushima come out, and they're like, we should do the next one in Japan. That's what it seems like, right? Danny says, let me tell you something. Danny, why are you screaming? I'm gonna read it like you're typing it. Let me tell you something. Next year, there's only gonna be one game that players will focus on, so enjoy this year. Like, why are we screaming? Which is why I'm mad it's coming so late in the series after the masterpiece of Ghost of Tsushima. Typical GTA player. Quintar says, yep, following trends. Ghost, Rise of Ronin, and Shadowblade. Ghost 2 ain't coming out till 2028. What happened to GTA Japan? Do studios, when GTA announces their date, does every studio just say, fuck, let's just delay our game 1 year? Do they move it like a month away? Do they move it like 3 months away? Do they push it forward to get it out before GTA? Like, what do they do? It's gotta suck, right? They shut down the studios. They're like, yeah, screw it. GTA is coming out next year. We're just going to close our studio. No one's going to buy our game. All right, let me go into... Let's do Diablo 4 here. Yeah, Quest, I don't even know what that means. I haven't played an Assassin's Creed in a decade, so I have no idea what that means. Thanks, Salty, I can tell. Money says, first Diablo game I've ever bought. It'll be fun, they said. It'll be chilled, they said. Well, let's talk about it. So, I said last year, now we played, okay? We played it. I played 168 hours of it, and I said that this game will be better off a year from now during Season 4. And here we are, Season 4. Okay, Season 4. And Diablo 4 is finally a phenomenal action RPG I wanted it to be. Now, if you guys like what I do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. We go over news stories, have conversations, go back and forth with chat. If you like it, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. If you like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. We do live shows, uploads, gameplay. We also do a podcast tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. There's a podcast called Generation X Gaming. It's a weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week, and we rant along the way. So join us for that as well. So Diablo 4 is finally a phenomenal action RPG I wanted it to be. So this article comes from PC Gamer. Okay, so supposed to defeat a boss 20 levels higher than you in most RPGs, let alone Diablo 4. I just did, alongside an army of skeletons. It's the most pivotal season yet. It wasn't particularly hard to pull off, but it also wouldn't have taken a game-breaking exploit to do it a year ago. Diablo 4 Season 4 and its massive list of permanent changes to the game has finally made it into an action RPG I always hoped it would be. Okay. There are 10,000 lines of patch notes. Bro, can I just say, if your game has 10,000 lines of patch notes, that's not a patch. That's literally completing the game. That's literally completing the game. Okay, to read if you want, but the gist of it, the update, is that every class is exceptionally more flexible than it was before. Necromancers have long suffered a life of skeleton minions who fall apart as soon as you enter the room. Now they're effectively wearing the same armor as you, and you're also made it so powerful that they pulled a speedrunner move and squeezed broken and normal routine through the game. Okay, Diablo 4, that was released a little under a year ago, wouldn't have allowed that to happen. The design emphasized moment-to-moment combat, evading out the attacks and carefully ability usage. Loot was weighed down by a number of stats and didn't mean anything, okay, intuitive to build the characters around. Why would anyone want to be really good at dealing damage to enemies only when they're about to die? While it felt good to dodge roll, like it was playing Dark Souls, finding good loot in a game all about it was like solving riddles, okay, which was mind-boggling, okay, mind-boggling, okay. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Hey, let's make a game. Well, actually, it does make sense because the corporation just wants you to get a $100 paid game, and then they'll fix it over a year and then tell you, hey, look, we know we screwed up. You know we screwed up, but, we're trying hard. We're really working hard, and we want you to, play the game. So here it is, a year later. Okay. So the era of Diablo 4 is finally over. It's no longer the precision about the healthy balance between mechanical skill and powerful gear you have control over now as you pick and choose between the loot and the stats clearly synergizing with your skills. Within a few hours of starting Season 4, I was torn between adding the stat onto my necklace that made the minions stronger or that made me run faster. It only makes a small difference in early levels, but the choice that you force you to think about is what kind of character you want to be and how you'll have to play around what you're giving up. It says, in the season of the Necromancer, there was also an undead army, so I juiced up my my boys in bone and stung a little bit, and not have the boost in the movement speed, but my stronger minions, trivialized by the bosses, wasn't supposed to kill as such as low level. There was also a few close calls with also a little extra speed, would have let me walk out of the telegraphed attack, but while I focused on my skeleton, demolished the boss in under a minute. So it says Diablo is finally back. A good action RPG should let you feel like you're breaking the rules and giving you plenty of opportunities to change your mind and how you want to do it. Season 4 focuses on Helltide. Oh, good. So you're telling me all I'm doing now is playing Helltide, which is basically all you did before was the Nightmare Dungeons and Helltides. Open world events that dumped high-level demons into your region every hour. It's built to surprise you. Helltides have always been Diablo's best feature, and they bathe the entire area on the map is in blood, possesses NPCs to nearby towns to get their knees and worship on the demons, and monsters are everywhere and always slightly higher level than you, making Helltides just tough enough to keep your attention as the room around collecting currency is open up loot chests. Season 4 lacks a unique mechanic that empowers your character, like the reboot Spider from Season 3, or the vampiric powers in Season 2. Instead, your job is to help group mercenaries from Diablo 2 defend themselves from the Blood Maiden and the new summable boss in the Helltide. Your reward is a bunch of cash filled with gear, and you normally find in max level. And you got my hands on the ring of automatically cast a corpse explosion and a few other abilities on my Necromancer. I wasn't planning on using the skill, but when life hands you absurdly powerful, unique item, you change your plans and make it used while you can. It says, I was overwhelmed with a pile of legendary items. You can also bend my my build around them. And it's exactly the kind of problem you should have in an action RPG like Diablo 4. Now, I do agree with that, right? We've said this. It needs to feel fun. It needs to feel like you're overpowered, and at the same time, like I should be overpowered. And be able to change my build where all of a sudden I'm hitting things and I'm barely doing any kind of damage to them, right? It says, nobody wants to be forced into playing the most accessible leveling build and read off the guide. Everything should be strong enough for you to experiment. Absolutely. Okay, it shouldn't have also taken them this long to figure this out. So is there one crucial issue with the loot before Season 4? It was how long it took the gear to enable the actual build. The leveling process was also a desperate search for multiple pieces of loot with the right stats to make the build smooth enough to use. In Season 4, every build works while you're leveling up. The individual pieces of gear are augmented, and the skills you might also have otherwise used. You no longer have to worry about your favorite skill is good. It's all good, and you can decide how it is good. We've talked about this all the time. The reason Division 2 is such a good game is because there's targeted loot, and not only is it targeted loot, but you can also, everything's viable. Everything in the game is viable in Division 2. You could do the meta. You could go to YouTube and follow the builds and stuff like that, but you can make the build that you want to make, and it might not be the best thing, but it still feels good to use, so you feel good about your time as not being wasted. That's the number one thing about these games. Respect the player's time. So 1 year later, it sounds like they're respecting your time now. Diablo 4 at launch had so much potential to be a game that celebrated playing with the toy of a sandbox and letting it embody the fantasy of its classes. Its obsession with its own past, specifically Diablo 2, buried the joy of creating your own hero in the Sanctuary. As Blizzard has put in the work over the last several months to transform its core systems, I've come to appreciate the ways that originally philosophy anchored the game to muted aesthetics that let the classes and monsters stand out. Before the game loosened up, it was hard to notice how Sorcerer Lightning skill crackled and leave trails that also looked at animated as low as frame rate, giving it almost a retro feel. Or the Barbarians send waves of heat like they were also combusted into a range at any moment. All of this deserves to be in a game where you got to feel as cool as it is to look. Diablo 4, I'm so happy to say, is finally that game. And here's my issue with stuff like this. My issue with games like this is make a game. Stop making a game and drawing it out. They charge you $40, $60. Wasn't there a $90 microtransaction inside this game? Right? That you have to wait this long to enjoy your game. This goes back to my point again. Don't buy a game day one. Don't pre-order. Don't buy day one. Don't buy week one. Let the game come out. Let's see what it is, because there's plenty of people that are either on YouTube or on Twitch or on Kick or whatever that will buy and play this game or given the game so they can promote it and show you what the game is. Ask questions, look what it is, see what the actual game is before you go in and try to buy it. Because if you're looking for a game with looter aspects in it, and then you have to wait 10, 11 months for the game to actually be what it is, then was it really worth it to buy it for $100 or $120 at the time? No, because the game wasn't finished. It took them 3 to 4 years to make this game, and yet another year to get to the point where it should have been at launch, right? And that's the problem, a $65 amount. Thank you very much, right? So there's plenty of stuff in this game that should have been like this from day one. It's not like they didn't make the other Diablo games to know where they came from, and yet now they're trying to copy what they did before. And here's the big thing. Path of Exile 2 is going to come out. And when Path of Exile 2 comes out, Diablo will die. Not dead forever, but it will die down because Path of Exile is doing things 10 times better at launch. And it's free to play. You don't have to pay $65, okay? Well, there is microtransactions in it, but you don't have to pay $65 to get into the game or $70 to get into the game. It's a free-to-play game at start, and it has oodles and oodles of things to do. That's right, oodles, okay, of things to do in the game besides what this game has done, okay? These are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments section down below. What do you think of Diablo 4? Did you buy it at the beginning? Are you going to go back and play it now that they've actually finished the game 1 year after? And I still don't think it's finished. I still think there's going to be things that they need to finish, and they'll fix it over the next 6 months after this. But let me know your opinion in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe. And if you like what I do here, please make sure you check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching. Path of Exile 2 is going to take a huge poopy shit on Diablo. Suicide Squad, Starfield, Diablo 4, Waiting Club. Exactly. Right? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Did I hear oodles? That's right. You heard oodles. That's right. No, not the game I wanted, D-Money. Not the game that I wanted. I don't even know if I'm going to go back into it. I'm still going to wait for the people that play the game and the guys that really know the game and go, yeah, you know what, it's in good shape now. It's not great. It's too easy. And it's designed more like Diablo 3 now. Enjoy for a week, you filthy casuals. He's like, you filthy casual. So you'll wait for an Asmongold vid then? No, I'll probably wait for a Dark Microtransaction video. Because he like really dives in. Or Quinn to do it. Reggie says, I don't get how you can say it's finally a phenomenal the day season launches. That's because they have copium. They're hoping, because based on the 10,000 lines of patch notes, they feel hyped about the game that it's finally what they wanted it to be. Which is funny, because it was the game they wanted to be on day one, hence why they paid $100 for it. Last Epoch is still out for people that like between experiences. Helltides are still boring. Yeah, they weren't exciting before. I'm sure they're the exact same, B. Big T says, Rax just reviewed the season. He liked it a lot, at least more than before. How long has the season been out? He already played through the season? He's already done everything in the game? You have like early access to it? Since Tuesday. Today's Thursday. So you're telling me in 2 days, the dude's done with everything. Rax is the character at 100. He's insane. Holy shit. Did he sleep? Yeah, I've seen people at level 100 in a day. So does that make it good? It's easy to level. He finished the season already and started 2 days ago. He's going to do the rest of the season. That I don't understand, Smoke. That's how can someone be at level 100, be done with it, and be like, yeah, it's a good season? You played for 2 days. Sure. How many hours did he play per day? 10? 12? 16? Level 100 is when the end game starts, though. Yeah, the game doesn't get good until about 2,000 hours in and 10 months later. Tubes Gaming says the streamers have been playing for around 12 hours a day. Wes says almost at level 50 in a couple of hours. They do everything that bitch for the next 88 days. But didn't... Now, I don't talk shit about any other content creators. I don't. But didn't most of these people, when they played the first season, they're like, oh yeah, this is good. They were excited when the game first came out, before season 1 came out, right? Like day 1 Diablo, everyone was like, oh yeah, this is it. So excited. And then season 1 came out and they're like, it was like they got broken up with their girlfriend. And then season 2 came out and they're like, we're back. And they're like, oh, no. Season 3 came out, they're like, we're back. And then they're like, no, this is terrible. This I don't know what they're doing. They're absolutely insane. And now season 4 is out and they're like, yeah, it's good. I don't know if I can take them all seriously. Diablo seasons aren't meant to last the whole season. Okay. Is it supposed to last more than 2 days? So for casuals, you can finish the season fast. For hardcores, you can keep going. Not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, Paul. I'm just saying that pretty fast. Ubisoft has clarified that you can play all the Assassin's Creed. Yeah, we someone put in our Discord, and someone Gaming Fire said it earlier in the stream. Eclipse, how many hours you been playing? All right, we got one more thing to watch. Which is about the Helldiver, 10 or so. And what level are you at? You're 10 hours, roughly. And what level are you at? I'm only level 60. 10 hours, level 60. We need to be online to download the Assassin's Creed game because it physically can't store all the files on the disc. And they do not. You don't have to be online to access those files to down. DPC says live service is mobile on Diablo 4 is lacking. Destiny 2 live service is the best to a degree. Argus says download them, and then once they are downloaded, you can play offline. What do you think? It's gonna be like a 200 gig on your Xbox and PlayStation? 120, 150? All right, so yesterday we talked about Wayfinder, right? It broke like an hour before the stream started. We talked about Wayfinder, how they're completely changing the game from what it was of an MMO to a single-player game, okay? Since then, Asmongold was talking about the same thing that we talked about yesterday morning. The difference is Asmongold has millions of followers, has 20,000 people that watch him, and one of those people that was watching him yesterday was the actual developer that worked on Wayfinder. So he actually came on to the show, and Asmongold interviewed him yesterday on the actual, on his show, right? So we're going to watch his video, okay? I think it's about 2 minutes in, then the guy starts to talk. We might, just for time's sake, I'm going to put it to 1.25. If it's too fast, we'll slow it down. But I watched a little bit of it, and I was like, oh, you know what? Let's wait, and I'll watch it tomorrow on stream, since we talked about Wayfinder, okay? If you guys like what I do here, we cover news stories, we cover videos and different things. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Okay?
Recently come out with an announcement that they will be restructuring the entire game from a live service into a single-player, peer-to-peer co-op game. I mean, that's kind of how it was already. In the Steam community post, they state the changes and that they will be abolishing the live service model and moving them into a single-player model and compensate founders by turning their pledge into a simple...
Is that too fast for people? For me, I've adapted. I listen to 2 times speed most of the time, or 1.5 actually, 1.5 most of the time. I don't got time to sit here and listen to everybody.
Simple cosmetics currency. The founders over Discord are rightfully livid over this attempt of scam. The pricing of the packs range from $150, $90, and $150. We backed an MMO, and the developers are turning...
You see, Paul, you've evolved. You're like me. I can't listen to normal videos anymore. They're too slow. I've trained my brain to go 1.5 speed.
And 180 and delivering a single-player game instead. The packs offered features like multiple season passes in advance and currency to purchase in-game characters, as well as a plethora of cosmetics that only made sense for an MMO. Isn't this company like shutting down? No, their publisher dropped them. Wayfinder had one of the shittiest launches in—
Oh, yesterday I made a mistake. I fixed it yesterday, saying that they gave it to Digital Extreme, but Digital Extreme dropped them. They dropped them.
The game history, with massive login queues of 30k players and straight up broken core gameplay mechanics. After the launch of the publisher, Digital Extremes pulled away from their deal, leaving Airship Syndicate to manage the live service on their own. You may think it's fair for a small developer to roll back an MMO into a single player game, and most of us agree. What we, the founders, want is a refund for founders packs, the things Airship promised.
Which we talked about yesterday. Because they're resetting everybody, like it's back to zero. Talk about respecting players' time. They had to reset it because it's going from a MMO style type game to a single player game. And I said that if they resetted me, I would be done and I would ask for my money back. So now there's like this weird spot of who gives the money back, right? Because Digital Extremes dropped them. They're not the publisher, right? What's the company called? The company is called Aircraft or whatever the hell it is. They can't give the money back because they don't have the money to give back, right? So now if you want to submit your thing, you have to submit through Steam, and then Steam gives the money back, but then they have to get that money back from Digital Extreme.
Promised us and are now taking away. We pledged to fund an MMO, expecting MMO-style games. Now we're faced with a single-player game. As Rainas, Steam has refused all refund attempts. Forgot to mention, this is completely wiping all player progression from the live service going into the single-player model. So there's a full progress reset. Holy shit.
Yeah, the full progress reset's crazy to me. I mean, I get it, but I would literally get my money back.
I liked this game. I thought this game was fun, but the problem is that nobody else did, because there's...
Right, nobody else liked it, right? I played the beta. I liked it. I enjoyed it. But because I knew it was a free-to-play game and their monetization structure, I was like, nah, I'm good.
23 people playing the game. I think there was a dev in chat. The executive producer is in chat, wants to talk to you.
Executive producer. Okay, so that's who he's going to talk to now.
Yeah. I'm gonna talk to him right now.
Hey, what's going on?
God, I wish I could get like this, right? Where just devs are in chat and you're just like talking with them. This is the type of stuff I like.
Not much. Just reading the post. I saw that you'd messaged me about it, and seems pretty interesting. So
it's been a busy day.
Yeah, it's been a big fucking day, I bet. Can you first introduce yourself so everybody knows kind of like who you are, where you're coming from, etc.?
Yeah, so my name is AJ. I'm the executive producer on Wayfinder. Mm-hmm. I've been on the game since day one, here in the studio with Airship Syndicate with everybody in Austin, just like you. So well versed in everything that we've done before and everything that we're working towards. But I know there's probably a lot of questions from the community and a lot of people that are...
Let me say this. This is really ballsy for him to come on the show, especially I don't know how many people were watching his live stream at the time, but kudos to this guy to come out and talk candidly about what's happening with the business, right?
Some people are happy, some people are upset, and I'm here to answer any of those questions and talk about the unfortunate reality where we are and the necessity of the pivot we had to make and kind of the two choices we had, which was, hey, the game can be shut down forever, like a lot of MMOs that we've all played and love, or we can work towards making something that people have in their library and they can play at their leisure on their Steam Deck, on their PlayStation, on their Xbox. So whatever you want to talk about, I'm here to talk about it.
How the fuck did you get there? Like,
I love the straight up question. How the fuck did you get there?
What happened? So the game launched. There was obviously the whole Wayfinder drama. It was the servers were fucked, and I mean everybody knows it. That's the way it was. And how did you guys respond to that whenever it happened?
So obviously we had a partner when we launched this. It was Digital Extremes.
Yeah.
Digital Extremes was responsible for some stuff, be it's login queues, customer support. Like there's a lot of stuff they were responsible for. A lot of stuff we were responsible for, database games, a lot of stuff. And we owned up to our issues. They owned up to some of their issues as well. And when they informed us that they were dissolving their publishing unit, and not that we were kind of stuck on the road to work on the game and publish the game, we said, fuck yeah, they'd self-publish the game. The lessons are now, you know that now with your endeavors. We can go through Steam, we can go through PlayStation, and we started down that path, and we did support the game. We released a couple updates. We had some good reception.
Yeah, you had the Reaver King update and a couple of other ones. Oh, I remember. Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. Right out the bat, I don't like the business model that these guys had, especially now that we said it yesterday. Robert Jones said it yesterday in chat, right? The ARC business plan, right? Where they're coming out with something else and now charging after the fact, right? They're still in beta. They're still in early access, not beta, but they're still in early access, and yet now they're changing things before it launched. This doesn't bode well for the company.
So we did all that stuff, and as we worked to finalize that deal and change, and they finalized it, became evident that we would not be able to do that. It wouldn't be sustainable. And so we kind of put our heads together and said, well, what do we do? Do we just say goodbye to this game that we've worked on for 5 years, which sucks for people who work on it?
Well, like real quick before going farther. So like basically, Digital Extremes got rid of their entire publishing unit.
Right, they got rid of everybody, not just these guys, lots of other people, so they could focus just on Warframe.
It's not like
Correct.
basically
They dissolved the entire publishing.
So this was not a result of the performance of Wayfinder. It was more so a result of their business decision.
Correct.
And how many other
CEO that was put?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say they had a new CEO that got put in place, and then that change happened. Again, I'm not throwing stones. I'm just specifically saying what happened in kind of the.
Well, they restructured the company, right? I mean, it happens a million times. Yeah, sure.
Sure.
How many other games were they publishing besides Wayfinder?
I can't answer how many they were working on, but I mean, historically, you can look at there was another title called Survive By that they had published previously in the past. So, and that they were not publishing anymore, and the game got shut down.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious. The reason why is like, you know, did they like to what proportion was Wayfinder part of their publishing unit? Because like obviously, if they were only publishing 3 games, then Wayfinder not doing well probably would be impactful. But if they were publishing, let's say 30 or 50, then it would probably just be like another thing.
Yeah, so one of the things that's a misconception is that we actually did an interview recently with SkillUp, who I'm sure you're familiar with. It'll go live on Friday, but we talked about...
Oh, so it goes live on Friday. I want to watch that because SkillUp interviewed these guys as well, and he posted on the Twitter account. And I was trying to find it, but I couldn't find it. And then I found his interview.
This we kind of talked about.
Yeah.
Because he just asked the question, how did this happen? Digital Extremes has worked in this industry for a while. They obviously have Wayfinder, which is super successful. Warframe, which is super successful. But the team that was working on Wayfinder and all their other publishing projects was not that team. They had a completely separate team, completely separate technology, some completely separate account systems, completely separate login systems. All those were different. And those were built with the intention of, okay, we'll build this for Wayfinder and for possibly other games. So when they decided not to do that, that's when they closed down their entire publishing division, and they decided to just focus on what they were working on, which was Warframe and Soulframe.
Okay, well that makes sense. You know, narrow it down, focus heavily in. And so whenever obviously you...
I mean, good for Digital Extreme to like cut the fat, but man, talk about screwing people over. Not only just the devs, but everyone that bought the game in the founders packs and whatnot.
All got news.
People are saying my mic is bad. What's wrong with the mic?
Because I think you're walking away from it.
Okay, yeah, I'm not walking anymore. So like, sorry, I pace when I talk. My bad.
You're good. I do the same thing. And
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, like, what was the response of like your team whenever you found out that your publisher was just no longer going to exist?
I mean, it was. I will say that the team is incredibly resilient. Like normally, if you had that news, you can imagine people would be like, "Well, I'm out of here, jumping ship." Yeah. I mean, I was stressed. We were all stressed. I mean, we didn't get into this other than the fact that like we made this game initially as a love letter to MMOs. We all grew up playing WoW and EverQuest.
I want to believe him. I want to believe that they got into it because they were fans of MMOs. But at the same time, I have to believe that they saw how much money MMOs brought in, and they thought they could ride that train, put the work in, don't get me wrong, put the work in to make that game, but to also capitalize on the microtransactions and build the game on the structures that they did for Wayfinder the way it is today, not what it is going to be, for the sole purpose of trying to make a shit ton of money. Now, again, make a game. Make a game, sell a game. And I want to believe that they did it because they were fans of MMOs, but then you could have just done it like a normal MMO back in the day. Just sell a game and then a fee or something along the lines of, do you know what I mean?
Final Fantasy and
instead of nickel and diming.
Take this in every game under the sun, and that's what we set out to make. So when that didn't happen and we all of a sudden were dropped, it was disheartening. But what was exciting was that we were no longer beholden to a publisher, and that we could do what we wanted in terms of focusing on quality updates and maybe balancing quick hot fixes versus having to get stuff approved through them. So the team was invigorated, and that's why we were able to pump out a bunch of really good patches. We patched almost weekly. I think we did bi-weekly for a long period of time until we started working on this Echoes update, which you're obviously aware of now because we're talking about it.
Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense.
Somebody in chat, if you guys can't see this person right here, because the chat's on the screen as he's doing this, right, live. This guy says, Asmongold having this on the screen with him talking like this, is like holding a gun to his head. Because the guy is literally watching the same stream as them, and he can read chat, and chat's just trolling as he's interviewing him.
Sense. And why did you decide to pivot over to making it kind of, is it like, so you're talking about like the multiplayer single player game, is this going to function kind of like Monster Hunter in a way?
Yeah, so just to break it down for people, people think that this is just us being like, hey, it's a single player co-op game, right? Like the work that the team has put into this, I cannot stress enough, is extraordinary over the last couple months. That every single system inside of the game, from the core loops to how you acquire weapons, to the cosmetics, to upgrades, talent trees. Like that has been implemented in the game. Like it feels like an ARPG.
Okay, so they originally set out to make an MMO, and now they've re-established the entire game to make it an RPG. Okay, which is fantastic because this is almost like maybe, a blessing in disguise for them, because maybe they were chasing the wrong thing and now they're actually making a game. Is it too late? Probably not, because technically the game's not out yet. Even though it came out, 9 months ago in early access. Maybe they can pivot. Maybe they can pivot, establish themselves as this RPG, come back out with the $25 price tag or $30 price tag and recoup stuff and actually show people, yeah, it was this game at one point, but now it's this, and it's actually a better game.
You played the game, so you know one of the biggest things is very Monster Hunter-like of, hey, I collected this weapon, and I'm going to upgrade it to the end of time and make it super powerful. Like, we don't have that anymore. They're full loot drops, just like a traditional ARPG. You can find a level 5 weapon, and it might have stats you like and an echo slot you like, and then 10 minutes later, you can find a level 8 weapon that's better. Same with all of our armor and all of our cosmetics, all thousands of items that we had in the game were just put in the game as drops. So, a lot.
So, there you go. Everything that people could have bought and purchased, they've taken all that gear, and they've dropped it where now it just drops in the world.
Work went into this. And it feels really, really good. So, like, the question you asked was, how does it work?
Which makes me think this is exactly why I hate microtransaction stores, right? Because people think that gun that you get or that skin or that thing, that wouldn't have been in the game. But they've literally just taken all that stuff and dropped it in the game for actual loot. So now you earn that loot. You actually get that stuff in the game by playing the game. I know it's a crazy solution here, right? Make a game, sell a game.
You load up the game on your Steam Deck,
sure.
On your PC, eventually be on PlayStation 5 and Xbox as well. You play the game. If you want to jump into a buddy's game or vice versa, they would click on your name in Steam or in PlayStation. They would join your game. All of the progress carries over, all of the loot that you might find if you do a quest together and you pick up a really awesome sword and you go, okay, thanks, I'm getting off for the night.
Can you trade? Can you trade stuff?
There's still no trading inside the game, no.
Is that
no trading? I guess because you're hosting locally, right? Because you can play co-op, but if you play if you play with me, you're in my game. You're locally, so there wouldn't be a way to trade unless it was online.
Something that was intended or planned, or is it just
I mean, to be honest, it wasn't planned because it was going to be a free-to-play MMO. And that makes it super hard to figure out a lot of logistics, especially if it is.
With
now
botters,
that it's a peer-to-peer,
absolutely.
Exactly, yeah. So, I mean, now I'm sure people will figure it out, and maybe we'll figure it out. And that's the other thing about this too, is I know I'm kind of just jumping around, but like, we want people to enjoy the game. We want people to play it. And if that's the case, people already have been like, hey, why don't you put it in a matchmaker? And why don't you put it in a server browser or mod support? Like, we can't stress enough that if people are interested in that and people are playing and buying the game, we will support it. Like, it has to financially make sense. But we made this that in case that doesn't happen, we'd be like, okay, we've delivered a version 1.0 of the game. We think it's really solid. And that's it. That's the game. So we would love to keep working on it. We didn't do this because we hated it. We didn't do this because we didn't want to work on it. We love the world. We love the characters. We love the fans. But it obviously has to make sense. You're a businessman. You know how that works.
Of course, yeah. You've got to make the money, right? And that's just the way it is. And I'm assuming probably there were a lot of server costs for the MMO. You couldn't afford to have the server.
Right, the server cost. And if you have 23 people playing it and you're paying for a server that's supposed to hold 1,000 people, that's money just going. You might as well just take $100 bills and throw them down the toilet.
Yeah, and that's just So okay, that makes sense. It's pretty reasonable. And obviously, like you saw the post that I was looking at. People think they're getting scammed because you're like pivoting. Are they going to get like any money back, or like how would you respond to that?
This is the big question, right? Because right now it does look like a scam, right? You asked for $150 founders pack, and now you're changing the complete mentality. Like, I trusted, not me personally, but people trusted them to make a game, sell a game, and they were into that game, and now they've completely changed course.
Yeah, so the people that are upset can go through the means of PlayStation and Steam to request refunds. We're working with them to see what else we can do in terms of like additional compensation. To be completely blunt and completely honest, we didn't collect money. Obviously, that was done through our publisher, so I can't refund what I didn't directly collect. But obviously, as a player, you don't give a shit who collects your money, right? Like, to you, it's like, hey, it's in my library. It's not what I initially wanted it to be. So we're offering make goods inside the games. All the founder pack items that people did purchase, they will have inside of the game when we launch. And then additional items for money that was spent or money that you had in your wallet will be converted into an exclusive currency that you can get for inside the game, that like cosmetics and characters that you can't get otherwise. They're
okay, so they're making special gear now. So if I had $100 in credits in the game, because you could pay for microtransactions and whatnot for their currency, If you have that, they're not going to give you your money back. They can, but if you don't get your money back, you can take that currency and then get stuff that only you can get that other people that just buy the $25 version will not be able to get. I would rather get my money back.
Not loot drops. They're exclusive to those things. Yeah, again, there's no perfect scenario. I'm a Star Trek fan. It's the Kobayashi Maru. So we're trying to do what's best for players and for us so that we can continue to make awesome games. That's all we
Can
want
you
to do.
still buy the $150 pack right now?
No.
Okay.
The minute that we took over the business, we removed it for sale. The game
they removed it all from all stores. You cannot get any of the stuff.
It's not been for sale for over a month once we finalize all of our legal
for a month. I didn't know that.
Transfers from Digital Extremes to us.
So you're saying that the reason why you're not offering refunds is because you are in no position to do so, because the company that was the publisher, Digital Extremes, were the ones who actually took the money. So you couldn't even offer refunds if you wanted to. Is that effectively what you're saying? And so that's why, but you are working with Steam to hopefully empower the people who do want a refund to get it, but they have to get it from.
I don't think they're looking at the actual Steam DB numbers, Titan. If that's what you're saying, obviously, I think behind the scenes they know, without looking at Steam DB, they would know how many people are playing the game on PC or console. They would have the back end of that.
Digital Extremes, is that correct?
I can't speak for that. I obviously can't speak directly for DE anymore, but I can tell. I mean, we've gone through the ringer with Steam. We were trying to offer multiple game copies so that you can give it to your friends. They don't support that anymore. We're trying to give away. We've talked about additional DLC in the future if we do that to give it away. So I mean, I get it. I get that people are emotional upset. I've been there. I'm sure you've been there when you played games that shut down or something you bought. It's not what you originally intended it to be. But I just hope that people understand that this was the decision we came to, because the other decision would be that it would just go away forever, which also sucks. Like I said, there's.
That's true. What do? Right? You made a game. You can just dump it, cut your losses, and go work on something else for the next 5 years. Or you already have a structure. You already have the core mechanics of what the game is. You change that mechanic, and now you have a game. Technically, that's not out yet, and you can switch it up before it actually launches. Ballsy.
Really no winning in this situation. We're trying to do what's best for the players, but also for us, for a company, so we can continue to make games. We have 85 people in the company. We're a small indie studio, and we're just in a situation that sucks. No way around it.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, it definitely.
Somebody says it sucks, but it is what it is.
It sucks. And like going back to the thing, because like I just want to make sure, because like this is I think the main point of contention is that like, so you're not at, like, if somebody is trying to get their $150 founder pack back, like you're cooperating with Steam from like your perspective, that's fine with you, right?
I don't know the answer to that. Like, I can't specifically say that it's fine with me. I mean, both from like a legal standpoint as well as like the people I answer to, what they're going to say. But I could say that we understand and empathize with people. We have talked to Steam directly.
What did you talk to? Can you say what you talked to Steam about?
They understood the situation. I mean, we obviously have been talking to Steam for a long time.
To be Steam, right? To be Gabe Newell and like the owner of the company, and everyone keeps coming up to you and going, "Oh, we have another company that fucked up again. We got to give refunds." For him to be like, "Yeah, go ahead, give refunds. We'll work on it." Like, his point of view is, we'll deal with it. We'll give refunds, and then we'll go hunt down Digital Extremes to get the money back from them in some way, shape, or form. That's not a good situation to put anybody in, right? Like, these guys' hands are clean. They're like, "Well, we can't give refunds because we're not the ones that actually sold the game. Digital Extremes sold the game. We had a contract with them. They sold it. Now we're by ourselves. So anything going forward we can do, but because Digital Extreme is no longer with us, they're in charge of that money that you paid for the $150 for that founders pack. And you have to go through Steam to try to get that. What a mess. What a mess."
To transfer all the services and transfer everything over to us. And once we did take over the business, we then, like I said, we took it off for sale.
Right, which was a smart move. Soon as they got separated, they're like, "Stop the sales. Stop the sales. We don't want any sales going on until we figure the shit out." So everything up to this point for sales-wise is on Digital Extreme and Steam's side.
So they understood that, and they understood that that was our desire once we're in control. But as far as the actual like refund portion of it, or who handles that, I can't speak for that, or what conversations they might have had with DEI. They're not our partner anymore, and we haven't talked to them in a while about that stuff.
So do you have any autonomy to give refunds back to anyone? Like, could you give refunds back if you wanted to?
I don't think so, and I'm just being completely blunt with you.
No, I know. I'm just making a straight answer. Yeah, good.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't walked through that logistics, and we didn't talk to Steam and say like, "Hey, you do this." I mean, like I said, if we haven't collected money from people and from Steam, like imagine a bank account. Again,
you don't have the receipt.
About it. I don't have that. Yeah, I don't have the receipt.
So again, you guys, so that's very important though, right? Like, you don't have the receipt to verify that anybody did or did not purchase the game. Is that
well, they know who purchased it. I don't think he knows that, like, I purchased the game, right? But he knows that they sold a copy of the game. I don't know if he can look at the records because at that point it would be Digital Extreme, would it not?
Not accurate?
I'm trying to think.
Do you have to have, I don't know, anyone that played it, did you have to sign in and have like a Digital Extreme account linked up to it or anything like that? Or no?
I think that's entirely accurate. I can't see like an individual. I can't see Asmongold making a sale for this, making a purchase and then getting this game. That is correct.
Oh, yeah. So see, he just said it.
Is there a way that if somebody who had the Founders Edition, if they push the button for "I want a refund," can you approve that button push?
No.
So you can approve the button push with specific parameters. Like let's say, like when we launched, for example, we changed the button push from the default 2 hours or 14 days, which I think we did it to like 12 hours and 14 days, something like that, because obviously we had tons of login issues and people took a long time to get in the game. But that was them. So I don't actually know. I mean, this is something that we're committed to looking at and working towards. I don't have an answer for people now, unfortunately. But we wanted to
careful what you say. If you can turn on the button to stop it from 2 hours, then you can stop it for 12. Well, then, you know, you can stop it for any time. It's arbitrary at that point, right? It doesn't matter if it's 90 days, doesn't matter if it's 180 days. I personally think if you want a refund right now, you should 100% get a refund for the game, because even if people want, because it's not the game they wanted anymore. They didn't want a single player game. They wanted a multiplayer online MMO, and that's not what they have now. So if those people, regardless if they put 500 hours into it or 2 hours into it or 3 hours into it because it's past the minimum, they should 100% get their money back if they choose to. Not in-game currency, money back in my account.
get this news out there today because obviously we're launching for those that have paid for the game already, the 31st, and then for other people, the 11th.
Okay. So yeah, I guess you'll probably be able to find that out. And do you know if the team is looking for a way to reimburse the people that bought the Founders Editions, or like what's the thinking with the team in terms of the people that feel like they were misled? Because I think that's going to be like a big point of contention.
You're saying with them feeling misled?
Yeah, because they said that they had bought the $150 edition for the MMO and continued service and multiple seasons in the future.
Right.
Then obviously, like
I gave you $150 for stuff that you promised that was going to happen. Redfall, Starfield, any other game that said there was DLC or season pass that you're going to get. If they don't give you that stuff, then you potentially should get your money back full.
Way that the game is being presented has changed. I personally have like kind of a buyer beware perspective on this. So like if you say,
yeah, but that's super recent, Argus. That's super recent, right? They've had this before they changed the rules to that, right?
Well, no, because that's just what happens whenever you support an early access game.
And this is a very specific thing. It was an MMO, and now they're changing it to a single player game, and all of your stuff got wiped. So technically, it's a completely separate game now. That you paid for one thing and you're not getting that thing.
I don't give a shit. That's true. But like, I'm curious to see what the team is viewing this, because I'm sure that you all have seen the post, right?
So we are in agreement with you that if it's an early access game and there are risks inherently with early access games, but at that same time, like I get it as a player. Like I said, like I've been in that situation where I bought into an early access game or Kickstarter and it just goes away. And if we didn't care about
Jones, I agree with you, right? I agree with you as far as that you as the consumer gave money and that company could close down and you never received that game and you played that game up to that point, right? 100%. But this is a very specific occasion where they're not closing down, right? They're literally keeping the game up, but they're changing fundamentally what the game is. So I purchased the game as an MMO, and now it's a single-player RPG. 100% you should give me my money back, because I'm not interested in the single-player RPG. I was interested in the MMO.
our perception, we would have just shut the game down and said we don't give a shit about you.
Well,
so
y'all wouldn't have done that thing
and...
with the store items at the beginning of the game, with like the pricing. I remember that.
And so, like, I'm just being really blunt because I don't know. Obviously, this is a spontaneous interview, but I'm thinking aloud. But I mean, we care about the perception. We care about the player's perception. We care about the studio and its pedigree and the games that we've done before. And so it's gut-wrenching to even be here. So I don't have a direct answer for you other than we want to make right by the player and we want people to be happy. And part of that is I hope that when the game does come out, people download it and they update their game and they see the effort that went into it and that is good. But I get that's not an answer for everybody. If you wanted an MMO and all of a sudden you have a single player co-op game.
Yeah, but at that point, okay, what he just I'm gonna rewind, let him speak again, and say the same thing he just said.
And part of that is I hope that when the game does come out, people download it and they update their game and they see the effort that went into it and that is good. But I get that's not an answer for everybody. If you
So the difference is that if I paid $150 for the game that was, okay, now I don't like what the game is. Now, does it reset? Does it go back to Steam and I get 2 hours to play this new game? And if I don't like it, do I get my money back? Does it reset? No. What they want you to do is keep your money, don't return it. What I would rather do is return my $150 towards that game if I purchased it at $150 or the $50 or $90. Okay, give me my money back. Then I will give you the $25.99 back if I want to purchase that game again. And that way I'm now covered underneath the new 2-hour format of if I like the game or don't like the game, I can return it afterwards, right? Right now, give me refund, and then I will put the money back in if I'm interested in the game, but you're not keeping my $150. You're not keeping my $90.
wanted an MMO and all of a sudden you have a single player co-op game, it's not the same. So we're totally not blind to that. But I don't have a good answer today about like what can be done here, other than we want people to play it quickly so that they can see it. That's why we announced so close to it coming out. And we want to continue to work with our partners to figure out a solution for it for people.
Patrick says, did they label it as an investment or a purchase? I don't know the wording that they said, but if I was investing or if it was a purchase, if I invested in their company because they were making an MMO, or if I purchased it because I was interested in the MMO, it's no longer an MMO, regardless if I was investing in an MMO or if I was purchasing an MMO. It's no longer that game that I invested or bought into.
Okay, yeah, that seems to make sense. Yeah, I'll have one more question for that, and then I'm kind of actually curious about like where the game is going to go. So on Steam, if somebody who has a Founders Edition wants to get a refund and they click the refund button, you at the company have the option to approve that refund right now. Is that correct?
No, we have the option to set specific. Oh, I guess yes? Question mark.
No, he could set, and I'll let him speak, but I'm assuming he could let it happen. Like if these people, the parameters, we will let these happen. That's them saying we're okay with it, and then Steam has to let it happen.
The option to set specific parameters on time.
There you go. On top of
time, I don't know what that limit is. If the limit is
right
60 days or unlimited, I don't have an answer for that. I just don't know. I'd have to work with my Steam guys to figure that out. But we do have the option to set the parameters around like that time frame. The normal Steam 2 hours and 14 days is editable by the publisher. Now, does that work when you've transferred publishers? I don't have an answer again.
So I would say for lawsuit purposes, it would have to let it go. Let it be. Right?
I'm pretty sure, like, the truth is you have no fucking idea. Because this happened out of nowhere, and it's kind of uncharted territory. Like, just, is that pretty much where we're at?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's exciting and scary at the same time. I mean, no one's really done this before. It's taking an online game, completely stripping it out, redoing every major system, and then making it a game that people can play forever.
No, I get it, Patrick. And again, I don't know either. I'm just assuming that if I invest in you because you're opening up a burger joint, and then all of a sudden it goes belly up, and now you're like, oh, I'm doing a screen printing business. I'm like, wait a minute, I gave you money for a burger joint. I didn't give you money for a screen printing business. You know what I mean? I don't know. Again, I think this is untreaded, unexplored waters here. This is very, very niche of the problem that's happened where the publisher drops the guys. They want to continue making the game, but they can't do it because it's an MMO. They don't have the power to make it an MMO. So now they turn it into a single player game, and yet early adopters paid the $150 for that game.
We hope that people do play forever, and if they do and people like it and they buy it, like we want to keep supporting it. Like we plan to go back to a multi-game studio that has a small team on Wayfinder that constantly has updates of characters and weapons and hunts and locations and yada yada yada, while we work on other stuff too. That is the goal.
Okay, yeah. So what are you gonna do now? Obviously, since the game is the game is going single player.
Did you hear what he said? I don't know if Asmongold picked it up. He goes, "What are you gonna do now?" And he said, "Drink." Listen.
Weapons and hunts and locations and yada yada yada, while we work on other stuff too. That is the goal.
Okay, yeah. So what are you gonna do now? Obviously, since the game is the game is going single player. What happens now?
Right now, so Are you asking like specifically like the timeline for stuff?
Well, I mean, just in
Sorry,
general.
I got two messages. I got
philosophy.
two messages in the middle.
No, it's okay. I get probably 50 an hour. People send me. I totally understand being distracted.
Our current philosophy now is that we take what we have, we take a game that we think is a demonstrably better game. I mean, we quickly found that out once we removed the servers and there was no lag, there's no latency.
What's crazy, what he just said, is that what we found out is that we have a better game, which makes me think that Digital Extreme is the one that said, yeah, we'll give you the money, but you got to make it an MMO where you can make, recurring revenue. And they made them make it into an MMO because they just said they reworked the entire thing. Here, I'll rewind it again. Let him listen again.
Our current philosophy now is that we take what we have, we take a game that we think is a demonstrably better game. I mean, we quickly found that out once we removed the servers and there was
a better game than what they made before.
No lag, there's no latency. We took everything that was something you could purchase at one point or the other, and we converted it into loot drops that are earnable, that feel good. Everyone loves a loot pinata, right? We added tons of new content. Like I said, there's talent trees, there's alternate progression systems.
They added talent trees. This actually game sounds more appealing than what I played in the beta last year.
And we have a tons of other content. Like our new zone that we put in is about 3 times larger than the old one. There's mounts.
Wait a minute, what did he say?
Tons of other content. Like our new zone that we put in is about 3 times larger than the old one.
3 times larger than the old one.
There's mounts. There's additional hunts. There's additional weapons to find, sets to get, and so that stuff will be
sets to get
going live with the Echoes update on the 31st for people that already own the game. If you don't own the game, since we took it down for sale, we'll put it back up for sale on June 11th. And then
so can you not buy the game right now?
No, the minute we took over the business, we took the game down for sale on every platform.
Oh wow, okay.
Yes, you cannot buy the game.
Good business decision there.
And so once the game comes out on June 11th, we'll be working through early access where we have additional characters, additional.
Yeah. So what's happening? May 31st, they said, Chris, that it's coming out for PC players. And then June 11th, it comes out for PlayStation players. It's still in early access, but now early access for their single player game. And then it's supposed to come out in full access once it hits Xbox. It's full release. So now you're still in the same problem. Okay. Now, if I was anybody that was interested in this game, I would not pick it up early access. I would wait for the game to come out in full release before you spend your money on it. But right now, it's $25 early access if you get it for PC or PlayStation. And then once it goes live on Xbox, it's going to be a higher price, which I think would be like 30, maybe 35.
Locations, additional zones, refinements of the game, refinement of the game system. And we'll be putting them in. Once we obviously are out of early access, the game becomes version 1.0. And during that time, we can make the decision to say, okay, well, it makes sense for us to put in official mod support or server browser or whatever. Like, as long as there's an audience, we will keep working on the game. Like I said, with a smaller team that's working on it, but we'd love to keep adding content to it as long as people are interested in playing it and buying it.
So you say in the post, you say there's going to be no in-game microtransactions or in-game purchases, and you just literally buy the. How the fuck is that sustainable?
Correct. So the boxes that we have and the boxes that we are hoping to sell, we think it's a affordable package. We think it's enticing to people. Like we've seen a big, this isn't just us, right? Like there's been a meteoric shift in the industry of late of live services and microtransactions and people feeling FOMO and, hey, I have to log in and get my shop rotation, or I have to go do my daily quest. And so this is us trying to buck that trend by saying, well, what if we just put together a complete package that you can play start to finish? There's an end point to the story. There's an end game that you can continue to hunt for stuff. You can continue to power up your character, and you can definitely play the game on your own and just pay one price for it. All of the thousands of items that we had for cosmetics, to skins, to housing items, to weapons, to sprays, like all that stuff is just loot. You're in a dungeon, you might just find a bird for your house, and then you might just find a weapon, or you could find parts for another Wayfinder. Like we've converted all that stuff that was once purchasable into just being loot drops inside the game like any other ARPG.
So what happens? So, like this is the thing.
Yeah, I said that earlier, Smoke. The entire game's getting wiped out, and that's why I said I would ask for my money back 100%. Because if I put 500 hours in or 3 hours in, it doesn't matter. All that's wiped. So I want my money back, and then I'll give you $25 for your new new early access if I was still interested. But give me my 150 back, then I'll give you the 25.
Thing, right? It's like a lot of the reasons why they have these. Like, do you think that's sustainable?
Yeah, so like I said, our big goal is to go back to being a multi-project studio. I mean, we worked on Darksiders Genesis and Rune King at the same time, and so it's sustainable for a business long term, obviously, to work on multiple things. So as long as people are buying the game and interested in the game, we'd love to have a team that's still working on Wayfinder, and that money that is collected also supports the studio during the time that we're working on other stuff with other partners. But you're right, it obviously doesn't last forever, but it's a big moment for us, and we're kind of, like I said, it's uncharted territory, and we're just trying to adapt to what we have now. And
But it's not uncharted territory, right? This is not uncharted territory. Maybe for them it is, okay? But you first get an investment from, this is how business works, across the board, right? If I want to open up a business, I don't have the money in my pocket. You never want to use your own money anyway, okay? You want to find an investor to give you money. If it's a bank, if it's a private investor, or whatever it is, they give you the money, you start your business, whatever that business is. You start your game, okay? Then you make that game. Then you sell that game. And then if that game is good, it will sell. And if you make the money back, so if it costs you $50,000, if it costs you $1 million, and all of a sudden now you make $1.2 million back, well, then you take that money and you invest it again back into the business. And then you rinse and repeat. This is not uncharted territory. Okay. He said it's a multi game studio. Okay. So obviously the money that you pay for this now is still paying for this game. And then also the profits or whatever else would go back to making the next game. So on and so forth. Imagine that. Make a game, sell a game.
To be around to just continue making awesome games. We're responsible for 80-some people, so we just want to do what's right by them, and we want to do what's right by the players.
So just to completely understand, so like basically whenever this comes out, you said it's May 31st, is that right?
Yeah, anyone that's currently, if you've ever owned the game, May 31st is the date you can play it. We're only calling that an early, like a preview period. Because,
so it's for everybody on PC and PlayStation.
Because obviously we'll find bugs and issues, and we'll issue a day one patch, and then we'll release it for sale on June 11th.
Okay.
But you can play throughout that entire time. It's not like it's going down. Obviously, it's a single player or a co-op game, so you can play at your leisure, do whatever you want during that time. But yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense. And I guess, is there going to be, after the release of the game, besides like bug fixes, is there a content plan at all for the game after the release?
Yeah, so you actually have it up on your screen right now that we currently have a new Wayfinder, a gigantic new zone, 3 times the housing area.
Okay, so May 31st is Steam, so I am correct. And if you have it on PlayStation, continue playing as normal. Then on June 11th, Steam Echo Update is live. So those people get to play it early for $25. If you already own it, you get to play it. New people, it'll be open up on the store on June 11th for Steam. You can pay $25. And then it just says summer. So after that fact, then it'll be up on PlayStation as well. And then in the fall, it comes out and it'll be on all platforms. Leaves early access and price increases, but we don't know what that price increase is.
Hunts, new locations that we're adding into the game during early access, so additional content. And then, like I said, any other.
If you're adding content while it's in still early access, that's not adding content, that's finishing the game. Right? If it's still in early access and you're still adding new areas and new characters, that means you're adding that to the game before it launches.
Content would just come after that. But yes, there is a content plan for early access to continue to evolve the game, balance the game, but add additional content for people to play.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that sounds good. So there's basically not going to be any microtransactions. Is there a battle pass?
No. So there were battle passes that were initially in the game. Obviously, they're also part of the Founders Pack where you can get our first battle pass and our second battle pass. Those are not being sold. They are just completely part of the game. They are loops in the game that you can...
So the battle pass is now in the game. Imagine that.
Unlock those rooms and get those cosmetics, just like any other upgrade or loot-based system inside of a game.
So there's no battle pass. What about DLC?
We have no plans right now for DLC. We'd love to do it in the future. It really comes down to if we're able to, and if we're able to be sustainable doing so.
Well, shit. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I mean, I hope you guys can figure out the issue with like some of the people that subscribed and, you know, did the Founders Edition and maybe figure out a way to make them happy. But otherwise, I mean, this seems like it's pretty decent. And yeah, I mean, man, I can only imagine how stressful it might have been having to go through all that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a challenge. But again, we're trying to do what's right. We had 2 options in front of us. Game goes away forever, publisher canceled, or we risk our own ass and our own money, and we did.
Good for you. Risk your own ass and your own money. Good for you. I have a little bit more respect for them now. I'll be honest with you. Okay? Because now I feel, okay, and this is just a feeling, right? Now I feel like they actually care about their game. Now I feel like they want to make the money, but they got to earn that fucking money instead of just doing what they did before. Okay?
dig into our pockets and we say, can we do something with what we have and give something to players so that they can have it forever? And we think the answer is yes. I mean, we hope that on the 31st, when people actually log into the game, it's so hard not to say that anymore. When people press play on the game, that they see it. I mean, they'll see that it feels better to play, and it's just a much more responsive game, and it's just a much better situation. But unfortunately, we're rolling with it. But I think that in the long term, I think we'll be supporting this game because I think people will play it and they'll see how great it is.
Well, that's awesome, man. And I want to say
I'm biased.
I just want to rewind what he just said there at the very end.
Unfortunately, we're rolling with it, but I think that in the long term, I think we'll be supporting this game because I think people will play it and they'll see how great it is.
We're supporting this game because we feel, right, which means the make the game part, is he feels that they've actually made a good game now. Okay, and people, when they play it, will see it, and then in the long run, not day one, not week one, not month one, they didn't make all the money. They make a game and people are like, yeah, did you play Wayfinder? Wayfinder is a really good game. They did a really good turnaround. Like, I hope this is the way it works and they actually start making money because of the game they decided to make after the fact. They got dropped from the publisher, right? Like, man, again, because it's an early access, they have the circumstance where they can turn this game around before. Here's a completely different type of game. We played it last night, Star Wars Battlefront 2. Because of the microtransactions in the game, it got shit on. The game itself is a really good game. It's a fun game. And years later, it's still a great game to play. But man, was it held back because of the microtransactions and everything else. If they just put that game out as the game that we played last night, okay, as the game, 7 years later, just in what it is, it would have sold, it did sell a shit ton. It would have sold a shit ton more, okay? So now that this game has figured out that they fucked up ahead of time, and now they have the opportunity to change it beforehand. Now it's just a normal game. Now it's a game that you make, you put out, and see if your blood, sweat, and tears that you put into your product that you love, that you think other people are going to love it as well. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, that's awesome, man. And I want to say
I'm biased, but
yeah, of course, right? But no, I want to say thanks a lot for coming on and talking about it and everything. Obviously, I'm sure you guys are busy. I've got like a million other things I need to do too. It's just like it turned into a very weird, busy day for me. But I do want to say I really appreciate you coming on such short notice and just randomly talking about this. I'm sure, taking and fielding these questions in front of a big audience might be a little bit unnerving. So I want to say that I recognize that. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. And as far as the other stuff that I couldn't answer directly, like I said, I don't have all the answers. I'm giving you what I have, and obviously this is spontaneous, but I hope by me jumping on here, it does show that we give a shit and that we are trying to do something that's unheard of, taking a game that was online only and converting it to offline and hopefully having it around forever. So, but yeah, I appreciate you covering the game in the past.
Sell a game, make a game. Robert Jones, thank you very much for the 14 months, man.
Be it good or be it bad, any conversation fuels us so that we can just continue to make awesome stuff, and that's what we're trying to do.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, anyway, I'll let you get back to it, and thanks a lot for coming on. Thank you.
All right.
All right, see you later. Peace.
All right. Look, what a it's a good interview, I think, right? I really think that's a good interview for the guy to do, especially very candid interview with him, with Asmongold on stream. I love how you put sell a game, then make a game, right? Sell the game first, then make the game after. Here's what I think they should do, okay? Here's what I think they should do. Because the game's in early access, they already made the money. They're going to get refunds and stuff like that. They know what vision they have. To take a little bit of effort. I love my streams because it all comes back around full circle, okay? The first story we talked about was, on Skillup's interview, was about devs, indie devs making games and putting it on the Game Pass market or the PlayStation market, right? What they need to do with this game, okay? They need to put this on Game Pass. They need to put this on PlayStation Plus, and here's why. They're hurting right now because they don't know where the game's coming from. So they need that injection of money up front from the big corporations of PlayStation and Xbox, where if they paid them, PlayStation probably already paid them money. Okay, I don't know if it's going to be on PlayStation Plus or if it's just on PlayStation, but I think what they should do is, because they're now coming out with it as a single-player RPG, this would be a perfect thing where people will look at this and go, I don't know, about $25. But if they get the money up front from Xbox to put on Game Pass, that chunk of change that they get from Microsoft will cover the cost of the people and more than the people that would be interested in the game itself. Okay? With that money, they can start making DLC. If they make that DLC and then they start putting it out everywhere, then people that bought it on Steam and bought it on PlayStation would buy the DLC if they liked the game. They would buy the $10, $15, $20 DLC. And then the people, just like the Minecraft Dungeons type of thing, or any other live service game, the DLCs are sold on Game Pass, right? So like SnowRunners is on Game Pass, and you buy each of the individual things separately. Minecraft Dungeons is on Game Pass, and you buy all the expansions separately. So I didn't pay for Minecraft Dungeons, but I paid $25 for all the expansions that came out as they came out. So this game would fit that bill perfectly, where they make the game, they have the game, they put it out there, it's on PlayStation, it's on Steam, get Microsoft to give you the money to put it on Game Pass, so you get people to buy it, you get people to play it on Game Pass, and then with that money that you make from Game Pass, invest it back in the company and make DLC to put out on all platforms and keep supporting it. Those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. I think that's a really good interview and ballsy to come on and let just ask questions like that. It's a shitty situation as far as the $150 business model that you ask people up front and then you're resetting the entire game on them. That sucks for those people. Hopefully they can get their money back. Hopefully they figure it out. Steam just says, yeah, we'll give all the people's money back, and then they'll deal with the digital extremes on the back end. Sell us a finished game and not greed-filled unfinished product. I would like to see how this game turns around. Like I said, when I played the beta, I liked it, but I didn't love it because of the business model that it was doing with the free-to-play. Now, with the single-player MMORPG type of thing, it might feel better. We'll see. Krebsy says, in my opinion, Sony and Xbox would be idiots to give them a deal if they already are having problems with the 23-player count. Well, the problem with the 23-player count, Krebsy, is because the game, did you not listen to the interview? The game is not the same game that it was before. It's a completely different game now. Plus, Xbox is looking to put more games on Game Pass that have more value. And you're not paying multi-millions of dollars for a game like this. You're paying a couple mil to put it on there. Alternative refunds would be digital currency. Right. I just wishlisted it. More my cup of tea. Yeah, I think the the MMO was like, there's too many MMOs out there for it to survive, but now that they've made it a single-player RPG, kind of play what you want, when you want, I think it's more appealing to a lot more other people. But again, it needs to get out there for more people to see. And since Xbox is giving them, is trying to make Game Pass what it is, they need more stuff on Game Pass. So why not? Let's see if these guys ever get in bed with publishers again. It'd be interesting to see if they ever get back in and make a deal with someone. All right. That's going to do it for me today. I do appreciate you all coming out, hanging out with us this morning. We're here Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning to about noon Eastern. I think it's time for beer. It's 12:53 by me, so it's good to go. We'll be back tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, for the podcast, Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week, and we rant along the way. If you like what I do here, please make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. We do uploads, live streams, gameplay, podcasts. You can also listen to our podcast over on YouTube Music, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Anchor.fm, and anywhere else a podcast is listened to. Appreciate it very much. Thanks for all my brain just shut off. Thanks for all the memberships and stuff today. I really appreciate all the gifted memberships. Appreciate it. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.